Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the recovery addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
They got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
Alex Stoller.
All right, how was your lunch, everybody? It was short. I do apologize. It was a little bit short. Squirrel. It's good to be back. I did have some pie. This time I went instead of the chocolate cream, which apparently everyone ate. I got one little slice, and then the family just they took the rest of it. So I had to break open the banana cream and had a slice of that. So celebrate Pride Day twice today. Just kick back, taking it easy. Welcome back. We've had a fantastic morning. Court has been absolutely just amazing all throughout. We've got more spiciness coming from the lawyers this afternoon. It's going to be absolutely incredible. Not only that. With this morning we kicked off with a special guest. We had Brandi Churchwell on for the morning, just to get to know her a little bit. I found her on social media, on Twitter. She's big on Twitter. She went viral. She's big on Twitter, like 10 or 20 times larger than my account on Twitter. I've been on for like 15 years. Like whenever Twitter started, that's when I started. And I've got like 600 subscriber fans over there. She's got thousands. And speak of Brandi, I think we've actually got you on right now. Let's see. Boom, we've got you. How are you doing, Brandi? Welcome back. How was your lunch?
Hi, thank you. I had to come back and bring by popular demand.
Yes.
Bring Lucy.
Lucy, a Yorkshire Terrier, right? Is that it?
Yeah, well, she's a Yorkie poo, so she's half Yorkie and half miniature poodle.
All right. Wonderful. Is she also a true crime addict?
Yes. She gets a little bit over it. You know, if I'm in front of the laptop for too long, she doesn't like that. She wants all the attention, but other than that, she likes it.
That is awesome. That is awesome. There were some questions I was supposed to ask you this morning that I forgot. You had mentioned that you would, if I can just dive right into the heavy stuff. Sorry. Thank you for joining us again. You'd mentioned that your degree or your schooling was in psychology. Was that right?
Mm-hmm.
So yep. Do you use that as you're looking at these cases, you're analyzing witnesses and things like that? What's your take on that? With your added skill set that you've gone to school for?
Yeah, I mean, there's different ways that I use it in different kind of sections of the psychology umbrella that I look at for different things. Like with the charts, I use the data analysis, interpretation, and visualization. When I'm looking at people's behavior, that's something that I analyze a lot too, based on, things that they've been through and patterns and, patterns of activity, especially because, there's a lot of psychological profiles that you can kind of pick up on when you're watching a lot of true crime stuff.
Yeah. And I realize this is a hot button. If you surf around on what they call LawTube, anyone who follows true crime, whether it's lawyers or police officers or just us, we're just interested other people. It's a hot button when you say behavioral analysis, but you've got to say that anytime you're talking to somebody, just me meeting somebody on the street, there's going to be giving off some clues when I'm talking to them. I can tell when someone's not interested and really wants to be done talking. We can tell when somebody doesn't like talking to us. And we saw some of those clues today with Sadie on the stand. You compare her reaction, her answers between the defense and the prosecution. She clearly was not a big fan of the defense. So those sort of behaviors we can pick up on, and arguably the jury is also picking up on, and they're forming their own opinions based on that.
Yeah.
The interesting thing I wanted to ask you about is about going back to Alex Murdaugh. We had a circumstantial case back there, right, where we didn't have a lot of hard evidence that we could just say, we can do the math on paper and it adds up and it's him type thing. But arguably we could do the math. There were some missing variables. but we could assume some of the variables because of the information we're provided. Is there anything here in this case that for you is saying this is adding up? This I can make a reasonable inference based on what I've seen here. Are you ready to decide if he's guilty or innocent, or is it too early to step out on the ledge?
I have my personal opinions. However, I think it is still a little bit too early to, go public with my personal opinions. I think that there's still a lot of room for reasonable doubt. And there are, just analyzing some of the behavior patterns and some of the things that he's done, the, spying and the obsessing, doing those things does not make you a murderer. However, those are behaviors that are, red flags. That's, those are things those things alone don't make you capable of murder, but those things added all together, along with his obsession and, that personality type, that's a red flag. That's a big red flag.
Yeah. What did you think when you heard the text messages with Sadie and the victim in this case, about what they had planned for the defendant with, breaking the legs and all that? Was that a surprise?
Look, it really was not a surprise to me. And I might get, attacked for saying this, but I was in a pretty rough situation years ago, and I've had those conversations, and it was never any one of those things where it was like, yeah, we're going to go do this, but you have those moments where you're venting to somebody who's close to you and you're saying those things, and it's almost like, for that short conversation, it almost feels like a relief to have a power shift, because it kind of feels like you all of a sudden have this sense of, now you're in control of the situation. So those conversations are not uncommon. And, Lord, if they read all my text messages, from all my friends and, anybody else in court on, national TV, then I'd be a goner. So,
I don't think anyone wants that sort of scrutiny.
Much into it.
Yeah. And I think you're right. We saw that in Sadie towards the end, as she's describing. She's like, I just wanted it to end. She's just like, anything, and maybe it was just that moment of just talking about something that she knew was never going to happen. For her was a little bit of relief that way. The Walmart videos, I did do a little commentary over the top of those. I tried to liven up the boring parts, so I apologize.
Yeah.
But was there anything in there that was like, aha, gotcha, for you?
The flip-flops. And who wears flip-flops in the rain? That alone shows he's got mental health issues. No, I'm just joking. I think that the paying cash was a big thing. And I know that he had his big old bag of money. I know that some people just pay with cash, but that is one of the things, it's a common thing that we see, with a lot of true crime people who go, to aisle 7 for their murder kit. They all pay with cash. So that was something that stuck out to me. The sardines. What's with the sardines? That was one thing that I thought, it was like a whole murder kit and then a couple cans of sardines, which I thought was the most, the strangest thing to include in there. But
maybe it's a favorite food of his, just
maybe. Just parking at the end of the parking lot in the rain, to me, was a red flag. And I know that in opening statements, they were kind of alluding to the fact that maybe he had the body in his car. Defense had said, well, maybe he just had tools in his car that he didn't want stolen. But to park at the very far end and walk through the rain, to me that's about more than, stealing tools. So that is another red flag for me.
So here's another question then. I was surprised when I heard that he had 2 boxes of gloves and 2 boxes of bags. If we're looking at this as this is his murder kit, that, I know it's just right after lunch and I hate to go there, but that points at dismemberment, right? At dividing up the evidence, so to speak, to dispose of it. Especially the gloves, the 2 boxes of gloves. The work he did as a contractor, nitrile gloves are not going to protect you. Right. The nitrile gloves are not going to help your hands as you're tearing 2x4s and flooring out and things like that. That does not look good, in my opinion.
No, it doesn't. And, that's something that kind of stood out to me too. And I think that was something that I thought about in the opening statements too, because they had even mentioned when he left there that there was a state park nearby in Lake Michigan and, places, tons of places around with dumpsters. So to me, it kind of sounded like the theory might be that he, dismembered and disposed of in different areas. And then when they had his cellmate come in and say that, he got rid of them in trash bags, that kind of corroborated that. And I know that, jailhouse snitch, testimony is
questionable.
You can kind of take it or leave it, Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was actually really, really insightful for me to see all that. I'm leaning guilty. I have to say I'm leaning guilty. There's just some evidence that I have a hard time seeing how they're going to explain it in a reasonable way. I mean, for me, it has to be reasonable. I'm sure there's a fantastic story they could tell about aliens and how the blood got there, but I'm not going to buy that, right? Whatever story they tell, whatever they tell us to overcome this physical evidence and all this behavior has to really pass the sniff test for me. And I'm not seeing it yet. I'm holding out. I'm not going to make my decision yet, but that's going to be fantastic. Have you started a chart on this one? If I could peek on your desk, is there a notepad where you started to put things together to set things in order?
Yeah, I started a little bit on this one, and I kind of used it when I did the video summary of the first 5 or 6 days, whatever it was. So I do have one. It's not quite as involved. Nothing is quite as involved as the Murdoch one that I did, but I'm sure Koberger will be. But it's not quite as involved as that one was. But the main parts on this one that I've focused on were the times right around, the actual during the nap,
And it sounds like we have a lot of phones involved for some reason. I mean, he had like 5 or 6. I don't know how many. There's going to be evidence from several different phones. We've got the victim's phones, Sadie's phones. It's going to be a lot of evidence that we have to sort of piece together. The timeline of when things happened. I think the defense was getting today in their questions for Sadie. We're sort of getting at there were things that happened on his phone, and you had it for a long time. They almost were insinuating, "Are you sure you didn't order this on Amazon? You had access to his Amazon account," things like that. I'm not sure if that's where they were going. It approaches that Denny issue that we saw in the opening statements where they're pointing the finger of blame at her. But this will be crazy. I was surprised that they didn't go as far as I thought they would with Sadie in the questioning. I thought you would see them push harder right up to that line. And no further questions. I was like, whoa, that came quick.
I thought about that too, because, I was wondering, is that strategic? Because I think that, defense has to do what defense does, and they have to, push it, and they have to, fight for their, for their client, for the defendant. And I do get that. But I also wonder if, part of it was strategic, because you can only push so much before it stops just creating doubt, and I think starts to paint the defense more in a bad light than it does, the witness, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. So, as far as what witnesses we know are coming, we think we're still going to see his daughter, right? She's 15 years old now, right? 14, 15 years old. I'm pretty sure we're going to see, or at least hear her. She'll probably be protected and not have her image shown during the court. But at some point, she's going to testify, and it's going to be against her dad, right? And looking at what we've seen from Zachariah already, he's had a hard time controlling himself when people are on the stand. He mumbles things. He talks. He speaks to people. He makes direct eye contact. He's trying to communicate. And I think of all the times where that would be highly inappropriate and could just go down a road we don't want to see, his daughter on the stand is going to be one of those. So that'll be just crazy.
I would love to see it for them to do kind of an in-camera interview. I can't even imagine, especially at that age, how hard it would be to get up there, and even if you're telling the truth, to feel that obligation to still protect your dad. I feel like that puts her in such a bad situation, and I feel for her. Yeah,
it's gonna be crazy. Oh, but this is why we watch the true crime cases, right? We like to see how the outcome goes. Hey, hello, Are you taking my computer? I just want the keyboard. You want the keyboard? Okay, sorry, my wife is taking my keyboard. It's her keyboard, actually. Okay, thank you. My wife says you're absolutely wonderful, by the way. She's
thank you.
She's a big fan. She said, I love how you put things together. It just makes sense. I will say your YouTube channel is growing wonderfully, and that is great. We hope that by the end of today, this is our goal, by the end of today, you hit the 1,000 subscribers. If anyone is watching right now who, for some reason, has not had the opportunity to take care of their civic responsibility and subscribe to Brandi Churchwell's YouTube channel, please go over there. I've got the link in the description of this channel, of this live stream. We'd love to do it. Share it with your friends. If you've got a Facebook, if you've got a YouTube, if you have or a Twitter account, anywhere where you're on social media, just let people know that Brandi's out there. We'd love to get her a little more exposure on her channel because she does some great work. Brandi, as always, thank you. I'm at
929 now, so I'm
so close.
Close.
That is awesome. We've got people saying what number they were. I was 583, says Sarah Wallace in chat. But thank you so much. Thanks for coming on again. Thanks for sharing your pup. I was getting a lot of hate mail for not letting you show your dog on screen. So
she steals the show everywhere. So she's sitting in my window right now. She likes to sit here and sunbathe in the window, and I live on the beach, so she'll sit here and sunbathe and then bark at the people on the beach.
Yeah, and you're down in Florida, right?
Florida, yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Wonderful. We'll save some of the good weather for us. I'm up in North Carolina, not too far away, but it's not quite as good as the weather you're having. So
oh yeah.
I appreciate you, Brandi, as always. Thanks for coming on again. I appreciate you. You're welcome anytime. Look forward to seeing you in chat.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Have a great day. Bye.
You too.
All right, we are back, and we're back after lunch. I just want to say, I forgot to do something at the very beginning of the show. I forgot, and it's awful of me to do this. Sorry, as I get all my things in order here. There we go. Adam Nusky was first in chat. You thought I forgot, Adam. You thought I forgot. I did, but I remembered right at the last minute. Adam was first in chat. Adam has been first in chat before, and he knows what the punishment or the prize, is for doing that. Adam, congratulations on being first in chat. You have won the internet. We are going to regift it to you today. Congratulations. Everything IP related is now squarely on your shoulders. Please keep everything running. Appreciate you. Thank you very much, Adam. Love your commentary and your witty commentary. Adam, you are one of the sharpest wits in chat by far smarter than me. So I appreciate your comments throughout the day. All right, we're getting ready to go back to trial right now. Let's see. I've got a couple things I need to switch here. We're going to end that one out. Showing that looks like the court is just showing the wall right now. That's all right. We'll get there. So many buttons. Let's see. Cancel out Zoom. There we go. Have to use the same computer for Zoom as I was using for a live stream, so get that in order. We're good to go. All right, now I can pay attention to chat. I realize we missed roll call this morning. I'm going to miss it this afternoon as well. Just know that I'm appreciative to all of you that are here. We'll do roll call tomorrow for sure. Roxy Moser just came in with a gifted membership. I think somebody subscribed as well. Let me see what this is. Just one second. I missed it. Where is it at? Now I'm on a mission. I have to find this. Just one second. We're going to see who it was. Let's see. Me became a subscriber 41 minutes ago. Was that the one? I think it might have been you. I don't know. Thank you very much, Mimi, for being a subscriber. Roxy gifted a membership as well, and that one looks like it went to Summer D. So congratulations, Summer D. Thank you once again, Roxy. Great support of this channel. Appreciate you. You've been here, longtime supporter. Your name looks good with that green courthouse next to you as well. RA just got robbed by his wife live on camera. Keyboard is gone. It is. It was actually the smart little floating keyboard for the iPad. She needs that. She has a class, a book class she goes to and she has to teach, and it needs to support the camera for her. So, and it's actually hers. Honestly, it is hers. I just use it all the time. Biscuit says, I'm 940. I want to see who's 1,000. Keep me updated on Brandi's membership numbers on her YouTube channel. I'd love to see who becomes number 1,000 for her. I'd love it to be one of our followers. That'd be great. Okay, where are we on? Let me switch to the other feed. This one's a little bit better. Yep, that one's good. It's a little bit more red, but it'll work. Heavy saturation. Let's see. Roxy says, but I love my RA family. That's awesome. It is family. It's weird. I feel like I know you all. It's great. Has anyone told Brandi Churchwell about the Discord? We probably should. Sorry, Amber. I apologize. Brandi, if you're able to watch right now, I'm not sure if she's able right now, but we have a fantastic Discord that's not mine. It belongs to Calypson's Vixen and Toxic Orchid and Little Miss. They do a fantastic job. The Discord's called As the Gavel Turns, and anytime you drop the exclamation point Discord in chat when I'm live, it will send you the Discord link so you can connect to the Discord page. It's a page entirely devoted to true crime and all the different cases that we follow. Has links to documents, has links to videos, has general chat, has calendaring information and all that. So if you're looking for more cases or more information on cases, sometimes if you have to go back and look for document dumps and things like that, that's where you're going to find it, is over there on Discord. Are you serious? 5 more subs to break 1K? That is just awesome. Let's see. Oh, I show 50 more. 50 more. She's at 960 now. I think you missed a 0. Mash, Melody, thank you both for subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys being here. Guys and gals, I don't know which it is. The names are sort of nondescript that way, but welcome. Hopefully you thought you were just subscribing, but it's actually admitting to being a true crime addict. And that's okay. We're all addicts here. It's pretty troubling. He bought canned sardines, says Elena Danner. Yeah, the sardines. I'm not a big fan of sardines, mostly because of the bones. That's about it. Let's see. Wish I could do more. I have to go. Oh man, Roxy, heart goes out to you. If there's anything we can do to help you out, let us know. Rachel Wood says, I'm here but lurking. I'm still doing doggy post care. She's had a rough 10 days. I'm sorry, Rachel. Lux Lobos is here. Just looking through. Sardines and anchovies add a lot of flavor, subtle flavor to a dish. Just don't get near my pizza, Andy. Don't get near my pizza. Here's the problem. Sardines and anchovies, they look too much like bait that I use when I'm fishing. Jane Deer Girl says, I'm 961 for Brandi. That's awesome. Sir Wallace, it said 995 a minute ago. Is YouTube being weird in the updating? Sometimes they do this. Mine's showing 964 now. So it's a little bit behind for me, I think. Did he buy crackers with those sardines? No crackers. I love the sardines. You eat the bones. That's the problem. That's the problem I have with it, Dan. Tish says, just attended our Board of Supervisors in our county. We were just granted Public Defense Day, March 18th, to celebrate all in the office, not just the attorneys. Such an honor. Awesome. Congratulations, Tish. You just got back from a great vacation as well, which is like a celebration on top of a celebration. So that's awesome for you. On Pi Day, it was decided on Pi Day, so it happens on Friday, right? The 18th. So Betsy says I'm 965. That's awesome. Let's see. Andy, I don't see a teaspoon or so in a batch of spaghetti sauce is amazing. I think my mom would eat sardines. I think that it must be sardines because they were little fish in a can where you like open it with a little key and it rolls up. It rolls up the little lid. But once you open that, the smell can't go back in and you can't close the lid. That might also be influencing, my desire to eat them. People are unsubscribing and resubscribing to be 1,000. I know it's frustrating. When we did the 7,000 celebration here just last week on this channel, it was funny. As soon as we got close to 7,000, they'd like dip back down again and then go back up. Okay. I think we're about ready for the judge to come back. He's a few minutes late. Down Syndrome Awareness Day on the 21st of March. That is awesome. I was a peer tutor in junior high to a boy who had Down syndrome. His name was James. the most incredible kid I've ever met in my life. I've never met someone who was as loving, accepting, as open, as friendly, and just the most incredible kid ever. And once I met him and started, I was his peer tutor in an art class, so I basically had to help him with some of the more difficult parts of the art project. But really, we let him do whatever he wanted to do, and he did it his way, and it was awesome. But I remember once he learned my name, because it took him a couple days to learn my name. Then he said, "I'm just going to call you my friend," and that was awesome. So Roxy, thank you for sharing that. Down Syndrome Awareness Day. That's awesome on the 21st. Sherry says, Cartwright says, I was watching another trial earlier on Law and Crime about ice cream truck driver, and I swear I seen ZA in the court. That would be a feat, because ZA is up in Wisconsin, Michigan, Wisconsin. Why am I getting the two confused? And the other one's down in Florida. Okay, we've got camera, but no audio yet. Just 1 second. Waiting for the judge to. I think they're just testing the camera. Judge is wearing his, is that a Harry Potter tie with the stripes? Sardine is animal bait. Weather Watch, did you flip the switch, or do I need to flip it again? I'm not sure what I did. Let's see. Oh, I flipped it again. Sorry, I think I hit it twice. Thank you, Sharon. Chat is showing up now. Tammy and I celebrate it every year. Take her out. It's her day. She plans the day. That's awesome, Roxy. Tell Tammy hi from us. Let's see. Just made my first live stream using my Surface Pro, says Richard. I downloaded software, OBS. It's and son of a gun. It worked. Son of a gun. It worked. Yeah, OBS. Richard, that's diving in on the deep end. OBS has a tough learning curve. But if you can navigate OBS, you've got it made. There are some versions of software that generally aren't free. There's like a StreamYard. There's a free version, but comes with a watermark on it. But it's much simpler than OBS to use, and it's also easier to incorporate other people joining your channel and things like that. Looks like Judge is about to call the jury down.
Hello.
Would you come down, please?
Yes.
People use coffee and fish thinking it will show off the search dogs, throw off the search dogs. You think that's what he did the sardines for?
Senior Riley was born in Ireland. So it was a holy day.
Gonna turn the judge up just a little bit. He's a little quiet right now. Hydrate, Your Honor. I need to get some water from my cup as well. The mug is empty. You know what that means? There we go. The mug is full. Water is here. We're ready. Red Pen says, sardines are not on my bingo card today. There's always something every day in trial that's just strange. I show Brandi's at 979 subscribers. This is going to happen. We're going to get her over 1,000 today. Sorry, Backwards Nation. That is a side effect of doing the water pouring sound. It's
Just figure out what that says.
We have like a love-hate relationship with
Your
it.
shirt.
Closing my ears, says Carrie.
Brooklyn?
And just like that, toilets all across the nation flush. That's what happens.
The Nets? Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, I know it says Brooklyn. I was trying to figure out, I'm old enough to remember the Brooklyn Dodgers. Really?
Get a baseball story from
Jackie Robinson?
from the judge.
All right, let's continue.
State calls Rebecca Jekyll to the stand.
Rebecca. Who is this? Is this the friend of
You
Sadie?
solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Please be seated.
Ma'am, could you please state your name for the record and spell it?
Rebecca Jekyll, Rebecca Jackel.
Gonna have to
And
do
you
some
know
audio
somebody
work.
by the name of Sadie Beecham?
I do.
And how do you know Sadie Beecham?
We've been friends for about 30 years.
For how long?
About 30 years.
And during your friendship with Miss Beecham, did you come to know someone by the name of Zachariah Anderson?
I did.
And do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Can you point out where he's seated, what he's wearing?
He's wearing a blue suit with a plaid-ish tie, sitting at the table in the middle over there.
What kind of a tie?
Kind of looks plaid, blue and gray.
Fish.
No, plaid-ish. Sorry.
Fish tie. He looks fishy.
You think it's a fish tie? Is that what you said?
I thought she said a plaid fish tie.
I got it. Okay.
And I said, is it what, is it shaped like a fish? Or? Yeah. I've seen those. All right, indicating it.
Okay, back to court here, Judge.
And taking you back to 2019, 2020, did you become aware of when Miss Beecham ended her relationship for the last time with the defendant?
I'm going to object to relevance.
Overruled.
Yes.
And when do you recall that being the final time that they had broken up?
I would say it was like around Christmas or shortly after.
Of what year?
2019.
Now, fast forward a short while, did you become aware of Miss Beecham planning a vacation?
Yes, I did.
And what was the nature of that vacation that you were aware of?
She had let me know that other friends of hers had been looking at going on a trip down to Mexico and that she had the opportunity to go and that she was thinking about going.
And what month would that have been in, if you can recall?
The trip was at the beginning of March 2020.
And what, if any, role were you going to be playing in her ability to go on this trip in March of 2020?
She had asked me if I would be able to possibly help out with the kids for a couple of nights while she was gone.
And what was the plan concerning you watching the children?
Well, they were in daycare at the time. I think the boys were, and I think their daughter, it was COVID, so I don't know where they were during the day, but I was at work. And then I would be there for the kids in the evening for dinner, bedtime, and then get them off to where they needed to be in the morning before I went to work. And it was Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday I was going to have the kids go with her stepmom and dad.
And what was the plan, to your knowledge, of whether or not the defendant was supposed to be present for any of that?
He was not going to be. He was actually out of state, was my understanding.
So I'm going to direct your attention to the early morning hours of March 5th of 2020. Do you recall something that caused you concern on that morning?
Yeah.
And what was that?
I had fallen asleep in the living room on the couch, and when I had woke up, the lights were off. I think the TV was in sleep mode, and I saw a dark figure at the end of the couch. And then when I don't know if I moved or made a sound or whatnot, but where my feet were, there was...
Judge, I'm going to object on the grounds of relevance and other acts. And if this needs to be argued further, I'd like it to be outside the presence of the jury.
Looks like the jury's getting the trip out of the room.
Well, I'm going to, at this point, overrule the objection. Go ahead.
So what happened when you saw the figure at the end of the couch?
Like I said, I don't know if I moved or made a sound, but the lights went on, and the defendant was standing at the end of the couch just smiling at me and said, "Hey there." And I didn't really even know what to say. And so then he said, "Where the fuck are my kids and their whore mother?" And he went upstairs and woke up the kids.
And do you recall roughly what time of morning this was?
It was about 3:45 in the morning.
Oh my goodness.
And where were you staying that night that the defendant was in the living room?
In Sadie's home.
And to your knowledge, did the defendant live there?
No, he did not.
To your knowledge, was he supposed to be there?
No.
after the defendant went upstairs to wake up the children, what do you recall happening next?
He came back down with the kids and stood there and started asking me. He actually had told me that he was surprised I was there because he thought I was be down in Mexico whoring with her when he saw my Jeep in the driveway. And then he asked me again who she was with, and I told him the people who he also knows. And he told me not to lie and that he knows she's fucking somebody whose name starts with an L.
Now, at this point, given your friendship with Miss Beecham, are you aware of anyone in her life at that point whose name or nickname started with an L?
Yeah,
And who is that?
Rosaleo. We actually called him Leo because when she first told me his name, I'm kind of hard of hearing, and so I was like, I didn't understand what she said, so we started, made a joke that we would call him Leo, and that's, for a while, that's how she referred to him whenever she would speak to me about him.
And prior to this March 5th incident you're talking about, approximately how long before that did you first hear about this Leo?
I want to say maybe late January, early February, she kind of started talking about this guy that she was kind of chatting with, and I don't know for sure if that was when, but I remember closer to Valentine's Day, she really started to talk more about him.
That's apparently when it started, according to Sadie, was right around
she had
Valentine's
in
Day.
the weeks prior.
Now back to March 5th of 2020, after I think the defendant said the thing about thinking that you'd be in Mexico, what happened next?
After he came back down with the kids, you mean?
Yes.
I remember I contacted Sadie and 911 was called, and he was in the kitchen making breakfast and telling them to hurry up and eat because Auntie Becky says I'm a bad man and the cops are coming.
And was this still roughly around 4 a.m.?
It was around, yeah, I mean, when I looked at the clock, it was about, for the first time that I remember looking, it was about 3:45 in the morning, according to the clock in the living room.
And who had been the one to call 911?
Sadie did.
And why, in your understanding, was that done?
Because I contacted her and I let her
I
know.
don't object as far as speculation as to why Miss Beecham called 911.
Your Honor, I believe she's saying what she stated to Miss Beecham, which I believe she will then represent is why she believes 911 was called. It's all about her statements to Miss Beecham.
All what?
It's all about her statements to Miss Beecham about the situation, so it's not hearsay because she's going to provide it, and Miss Beecham has testified had been crossed.
Overruled.
So I had contacted her and I just said, what the hell, Zach is here? What is he doing here? And I didn't know what to do. I was terrified. I didn't know why he was there. My understanding, he wasn't supposed to be there. And she proceeded to call 911 because if she hadn't, I told her I would.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 282.
Hey, Amber, if there's a different message, send it. I missed it. I'll pin it over the top of it. I show that I have Rebecca Jekyll, Sadie Beecham's best friend of 30 years. Is that the right message pinned?
Ms. Jekyll, do these appear to be the phone calls you referenced between yourself and Ms. Beecham on March 5th of 2020, starting at 3:56 a.m.?
Yes.
And then ultimately culminating with one at 10:43 a.m.?
Yes.
Now, in reference to Ms. Beecham's relationship with someone you knew to be named Leo, you had indicated that the ending of the defendant and Ms. Beecham's relationship was around Christmas of 2019. Was Leo the first person that you were aware of that Sadie had shown any interest in?
Yeah, he was.
And being her friend of 30 years, were you privy to how that relationship was going starting in February of 2020?
Yeah, I was.
Now, did you ever meet Leo in person?
Unfortunately, I did not with COVID, but I did have an opportunity. He was at her house decorating for their daughter's birthday, and we had like a it was Facebook Messenger, like a video call that night. We talked with them for quite a long time and got to know him a little bit. And then a couple times, like if she had been on the phone with them and she was with me, you know, she'd put it on speaker so he could say hello, but I never actually got to meet him face to face, no.
Now, being a friend of Miss Beecham's for this long period of time, did she confide in you about her problems regarding the defendant?
She did.
And what in general do you remember being complaints that she was making in April and May of 2020 regarding the defendant towards her?
She was just the text messages, constant text messages and emails, showing up in places, or just kind of, sometimes he would go radio silent and then out of nowhere just send her really random messages, just very, I don't even know how to explain it. It was just a lot of instances that she had told me about of weird things happening, and then him kind of confirming it to her when she would call him out on it.
And at any point in April and May of 2020, did Miss Beecham indicate to you any interest in rekindling her relationship with the defendant?
No.
And how would you describe the trajectory of Miss Beecham's relationship with Leo during those same months? Were they still seeing each other? How was that going?
They were still talking. She seemed to be very happy, excited.
Seemingly is making you emotional. Why are you emotional over that sentiment that you just shared with us?
Objection, relevance.
That might be sustained.
Goes directly to the
It's
motive.
commenting on her emotional state on the witness stand.
The objection is overruled.
Ooh.
Why does that make you emotional?
Because she deserved it. I wanted to see her happy. I wanted to see her in something that was good for her, you know?
This is a good friend.
She's my best friend, and it was nice to see her truly, genuinely smile about someone who was treating her well.
I think everyone deserves a good
Had it
friend
been a
like
while
this.
since you'd seen her that happy?
I'm sorry, what?
Had it been a while since you'd seen her that happy?
Yeah, it had been.
I'm going to object to relevance.
Sustained.
At some point during April, May of 2020, did Miss Beecham share fears with you that she was being tracked by the defendant?
She did.
And what in general do you remember regarding those conversations with Miss Beecham?
There were a couple instances where she had let me know about a time that she had found a phone in her vehicle after she had taken the kids over to Zach's house to drop them off for the night. She had let me know about, there was a time that he was sending her messages about where she was headed and what she was doing. There was instances where he was sending her messages and she had told me that it was basically word for word of something that her and Leo were talking about while in his living room. And then she had gotten a message from him almost immediately after, word for word on what Leo had said to her.
And so I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 283.
This witness is coming across quite believable. If the jury is feeling this, is
Messages between you and Miss
on board,
Beecham on May 14th.
defense has to be very careful on cross.
Starting at roughly 2:33 p.m. Do you see those? And does the first one read from Miss Beecham to you, he's hacking into my phone or something. Liv just told me he hacked into her school Chromebook. And then she says, I can't prove it is the problem. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And you respond with, well, this is where Olivia needs to stand up and tell the police these things and they can look into it. Is that from you?
Yes.
Okay, and then a minute later, is there a text from you that says, phone call has been placed, and then a text, all I was told is it will be again, and you will not know when, where, or how. Call me in 1 week, and then a minute later, it will begin?
Yeah.
What is that text string from you about regarding phone call has been placed? Who did you call?
My son.
And back in May of 2020, how old was your son?
18.
And why did you call your son at that moment?
Because he was 18 and he knows a lot about different applications and telephones and things like that. And I had asked him if there was anything we could put on her phone that would show that maybe that he had put something on her phone, but a way that he wouldn't know it was on her phone in order to prove that he was doing the things he was doing to her.
When you say things on her phone, whose phone were you hoping to find some application for?
Sadie's.
And why did you think perhaps your son would be able to assist with this?
Because like I said, he's, he was young and they're very privy, and a good friend of his also, they're big into the video games and the software and things like that, and just had asked if they knew of anything that they could do to prove what was happening.
And ultimately, after calling your son and making that request of him, was anything able to be done in regards to helping out Ms. Beecham regarding potential software on her phone?
No, because he had told me that a friend of his...
I'm going to object to hearsay as to what her son said.
It sounds that way.
In general, was your son able to offer up any assistance in furtherance of this?
I'm going to object to foundation and how this witness would have personal knowledge of that.
Well,
Judge, if you recall, this was this specific text.
Why do we have two lawyers arguing this?
Opening. He indicated we were going to bring a witness to talk about this specific text. So this was a ruling that the court made, and it was regarding this text. So we're simply...
Well, I'm talking about the question, there's an objection that it's lacking in foundation. Even though the general subject was explored earlier, there still needs to be foundational support for the testimony.
At this
that just
point,
means they need to back up and re-question and build the layer
did
slower.
Did anything come of this? So
actually, that's not the question that was asked.
I can rephrase it.
Bless you.
Did anything come of this inquiry in terms of putting something on the phone?
No.
Next time we see the man
Moving
bun,
forward to
notice
May
it's turned into a
18th
man
of
ponytail.
2020, do you recall having conversations with Ms. Beecham regarding the fact that she hadn't heard from Leo that day?
Yes, I do.
And in being friends with Ms. Beecham in the way that you were and how close you were, was it unusual that there be large periods of time where Leo would not be in contact with her?
I'm sorry, can you ask that again?
Sure. In knowing Ms. Beecham as you do, in her relationship with Leo, was it unusual that Leo would not be in contact with her for a large period of time?
It was unusual for him to not contact her.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 284.
Someone from his team must be reading the chat. If you are if you're on the defense counsel and you're following along on this live stream, drink from a water bottle. There we go. That's what we want. Drink from your water bottle as an indicator, so we know. I guess that applies for prosecution as well.
And now let Murdoch stole it.
Little back and forth here. It looks more like a man bun here, but when you get a close-up, it does look more like a ponytail. Let's see if we can get a close-up here. Let me just will the camera operator to switch the camera here. Just 1 second. There we go. All right. Yeah, it's sort of it's coming out of the man bun, turning into a
text
ponytail.
between you and Miss Beecham on May 18th at roughly 3:36 p.m. She tells you also no word from Leo today and says that's weird. Maybe he forgot his phone. And then she says then no word from Zach either. And your response is, that scares me. Have you let Leo know that you just want him to check in? And then you also respond at 3:37, I wonder if he got his mail yet. Is that accurate?
Yes.
When you respond with, I wonder if he got his mail yet, what are you referring to?
I don't even remember.
Okay. So moving on to the next message at 3:37, yep, and no word. And you respond back with, has he been active on Facebook at all? And she says back, dunno, I'm a little sick. Leo usually checks in, or I guess on me. And nope, not since yesterday. He texts saying he just dropped off his kid and was going to his buddy's house. And then she says, thinking maybe he forgot his phone there or something. I don't know, kind of weird though. And you then respond with, okay, so hopefully he just forgot his phone. Do you think Zach would do some shit? She says, dunno, he's capable of anything. And you said, right, that is just it. Did you mail that shit? And she said, yes, it was expected to arrive today. Do you know what she had mailed?
I don't know, but I know at that time she was talking about mailing.
I'm going to object to speculation. She just said she didn't know.
The objection is sustained.
And then you say, oh boy, well, whatever you do, please keep in contact with me, even just a hi, if I text you through the night. All accurate?
Yes.
And that was in concerns to not hearing from Leo that day?
Yes.
Now moving on to later that day, States Exhibit 285. I'm going to show you texts that begin at roughly 6:04 p.m., so 2.5 hours later.
Headsets just amplified
Does
sound.
Ms. Beecham text you, well, it's been almost 24 hours since I last heard from him. Either he lost his phone, something's wrong, or he is ignoring, blocking me. And she says his phone goes straight to voicemail. And you respond with Leo ? All accurate?
Yes.
She then says, yep. And then you ask, was he upset with you? When you ask, was he upset with you, were you referring to?
Leo.
And then you ask, what about Nutcase? Hear from him at all? When you say, what about Nutcase, who are you referring to?
There's another pet name.
And
Zach,
did she
of course.
respond back with, Zach sent me a text about an hour ago of a license plate that said got twins, weird. And then Leo didn't seem upset about anything. Is that all accurate?
Yes.
And then you respond with, yeah, very. Maybe he just left his phone and it died through day. You know, if you have receipt from certified letter, you can see if they attempted or made delivery. And
would you stop for just a moment, please? I'm going to ask the jurors to step out for just 2 minutes. Please don't talk about the case.
Please don't talk about the case. Jurors head to the library where they have read every book on file. They have the option of either going upstairs, which is 21 steps upstairs. I believe some of the jurors have difficulty going up and down the stairs, or it's at least not comfortable for them to do so. So the judge allows them to go to the library instead. I think they have to all be together because there's one juror minder who goes with them, like a bailiff. That's the person that answers the phone and brings it back down as well.
Ms. Beecham, you've been nodding your head in agreement with some of the testimony that's being given.
Ooh, she's kicked out. She's gonna get kicked
and
out.
earlier on in the case, these folks over here on this side, I've seen some very occasional wagging of heads indicating disagreement with what's being said. If I notice anybody nodding in agreement or wagging head in disagreement, you will be immediately excused and will not be permitted to re-enter the courtroom. Does anybody have a question about that?
That's Sadie.
Okay, thank you very
and
much.
Zach.
Yes, that's yours.
But Zach cannot be excluded right now. He has a right to be present, although he may be forced to watch over a CCTV connection type thing, a lot like DB was. So we just about got a Darrell Brooks moment there. This is takes me back to the testimony of Zion during the Aaron Dean trial, where the young boy was testifying on the stand, and someone was apparently coaching or giving hand signals or something to him during the trial. The judge has zero tolerance for that, as is appropriate. Man Bunderson has spent most of the time mouthing stuff. He has, and that has not stopped. He's mouthed stuff to Sadie. Just today, he's looked at her and said something to her. He talks to himself. His lawyers told him to stop on previous days a couple times. I think wagging is a faster pace than shaking, per my dog's insurance guy. Thank you for that. Yeah, I thought she was going to get kicked out. Clearly, that's an issue. And somebody on the defense side, I think he's talking about the gallery, not Zach. Although he could have included Zach for sure.
So we were in the middle of these text messages from May 18th, where we ended with the delivery one. So did Miss Beecham then say back to you, yep, that's what I'm hoping, but still weird, he wouldn't go back for it? And you say, true. I would think if Zach contacted him in any way, he would be letting you know. I'm sure he is okay, but please let me know when you hear from him. And she says, I will. All accurate?
Yes.
Your message seemingly indicates...
She hasn't testified yet. Daughter has not testified.
You feeling like Zach may have reached out to Leo. Why did you feel that way?
Object.
Do you need a reason? Sustained?
Overruled.
Nope.
Why did you feel that way?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. Your message seemingly says, it actually legitimately says, I would think if Zach contacted him in any way, he would be letting you know. Why did you think there was a possibility that Zach would be trying to contact Leo?
Because of issues that had occurred prior to this exchange, just with the fact that she thought he was tracing or whatever, had something on her phone to be able to tell what her conversations were, and because of the fact that there had been an incident a few weeks earlier that took place at her house that was directly affecting Leo.
Sadie has black hair. She's seated in the gallery. Occasionally the camera will show her.
You respond, I just hate the fact that because Zach is so goddamn twisted that your brain has to even go there. What did you mean by that?
Judge, I'm sorry, I'm going to object to relevance.
Well,
there's not a charge with Miss Jekyll here. Why she felt a certain way about Mr. Anderson is completely irrelevant.
What's going on? Bless you.
So moving on, then do you and Ms. Beecham have a 30, almost 7-minute phone conversation?
That's Sadie right here, wearing the headset in front.
And then roughly an hour-ish after that at 8:04 p.m., does she then text you, dude, I feel sick, I have a terrible feeling, my anxiety is soaring right now? And do you respond with, maybe you should drive there? And IDK, I don't know, have you called again? That all accurate?
Yes.
And did she then say, I did call and I really want to? And you asked, did it ring or go straight to voicemail? Is that accurate?
Yes.
And she says, VM? Accurate?
Yes.
Voicemail.
And you say, she then responds, he would gotten another phone if it was broken or lost. And then she says, I think Zach has something to do with this. Somehow it is...
Judge, I'm sorry. I'm going to object at this point on the grounds that none of these text messages were covered with Miss Beecham. why a text message string now with hearsay components with this particular witness is relevant to the case is a stretch.
But we've talked about opening the door. Counsel introduced a number of text messages, and the state made a similar objection, and the court believed that the door had been open to this sort of back and forth discussion. Certainly, that's what we're doing.
I had not introduced any text messages between Ms. Jekyll and Ms. Beecham from this date. It was from May 14th, 2020. What I can see up on the screen is that this is May, is 18th or 19th. I can't see from this far.
18.
Well, there's a lot of questions that are of limited probative value, and are speculative and conclusory. So wrap it up.
Ultimately, that evening, I'll take these down. Ultimately, that evening, does Sadie continue to show concern that she hasn't heard from Leo on the night of the 18th?
Yes.
Now, moving on to the morning of the 19th.
Brandi needs 5 more subscribers to hit
Does she text
1,000.
you at 7:58 a.m.? I'm so fucking sick right now, want to go for a ride. Did she text you that?
She did.
And what was that referencing in terms of your guys' conversation, as it looks like then you have a phone call right after that?
She wanted to drive down to Leo's house because she hadn't heard from him at that point.
And were you able to ride down with her to Kenosha to check in on Leo?
I was not.
And why not?
I had a meeting at work that afternoon in Brown Deer.
But as the morning progresses, do you stay in phone contact with Miss Beecham?
Yeah, I did.
And while you're in phone contact with her, what is she doing?
Objection and speculation as to what Miss Beecham's doing.
When you receive the phone calls, I guess, are you on the phone with Miss Beecham when something causes her an amount of surprise?
Yes.
And how did you know she was surprised at that moment?
So, I guess the only way I can describe that I knew there was something wrong is I heard the most guttural sound I've ever heard come from a human being. And I was talking to her, and she had said both his vehicles were in the parking lot, and she said she was going to go to the door and just see if he was there. And then I heard her make a sound that I've never heard come from a human before, and she said, "There's blood all over." And I told her to hang up the phone and call 911 and get in her fucking car. Those were my words.
And ultimately, did she do that, to your knowledge? Did she hang up?
She hung up, and then I heard back from her again after. But I don't really recall the sequence, whether it was text message, phone calls, whatever. It was a whirlwind. It was a whirlwind.
And did you and she have a number of other conversations that day via the phone after the discovery of that scene?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would ask to move into evidence states 282, 283, 284, 285, and 286 at this time.
Any objection?
I guess I would object to the text message string between Ms. Jekyll and Ms. Beecham from 5/18 for reasons previously stated.
Overruled.
They're all coming in. I know it was poor timing there with a very heavy testimony moment, but congratulations, Brandi, on reaching 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. You definitely deserve it. We are so excited to see your channel grow and can't wait to see more from you as we follow court cases with you. But wow, heavy testimony. Holy cow. This is the friend that was on the phone with Sadie as she opens the door and sees the the carnage in her boyfriend's apartment.
Thank you.
That testimony is
Mueller?
Thank you, Judge.
that's heavy.
Going back to when you were watching the kids when Miss Beecham was in Mexico, had you been made aware that Mr. Anderson would be coming to the residence to do laundry?
Nope, I was not.
Okay. And was there some sort of protective order that you were aware of that Mr. Anderson could not see his children?
No.
You had mentioned on direct examination that there were times where Mr. Anderson would go radio silent.
Yes.
Can you explain what you meant by that?
It's a term, like he literally would just completely not speak to her, not contact her, and then out of nowhere, turned up the volume.
How frequently would that happen?
It happened quite a bit, I would say, in 2019 is when it became a pretty frequent thing, on and off.
So there were times where Mr. Anderson would literally have no contact with Miss Beecham.
That I'm aware of, yes.
And that was I'm just trying to understand, that was on a pretty frequent basis starting in 2019.
More and more in 2019.
Okay. Into 2020?
No, I said in 2019 is when it became more frequent.
Okay. Do you remember when in 2019?
After we came back from Arizona, at the beginning of 2019, there was some issues, and after that took place, he went radio silent, and then showed up out of nowhere after about 2 weeks, and then he was around quite a bit, and then he would do it again, and then towards the end of 2019, he shown around again, and that was that.
Okay.
This is Sadie's friend who was on the phone with her when she found the
I'm going to show you again
her boyfriend's apartment.
State's Exhibit 283. Is it up there?
Nope, it's right here.
So I'm going to be talking to you about this text message string about phone call has been placed. All I was told is it will be again, and you will not know when, where, or how. Call me in 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
That next message you says it will begin. Are you correcting yourself for where you said it will be again?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. So you don't know if it will begin is supposed to be put in, so the text would read, all I was told is it will begin, and you will not know when, where, or how. Call me in 1 week.
Objection.
I don't know.
Objection. She said she doesn't know. So then the question
Sustained.
is repeated, but her answer was, I don't know.
That I don't know is a magic
Right.
bullet for stopping the line of questioning.
So you talked a little bit today about what you meant by that text. The state asked you some questions. When did you talk to law enforcement about this text?
I didn't talk to them until recently.
When you say recently, was this a week ago, 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think.
Prior to 2 weeks ago, had law enforcement ever talked to you?
Not about this, no.
So 2 weeks ago, you tell law enforcement or whomever, and you testified to it today, that this message had to deal with your son, correct?
It had to deal with us trying to prove that he had something on her phone and who I contacted.
So you called your son, and your son then told you that it will begin, you will not know when, where, or how, call me in 1 week.
I didn't say my son said that. That was my text message to Sadie. My son had told me that if he and his friend would do it, it would be about a week.
Okay, and your son was 18 at the time?
Yes?
You living at home?
Yes.
So your son who's living at home, you'd have to call him in 1 week to ask him about something.
No, I didn't say that.
Well,
I said that she can call me in a week. It doesn't say call him in a week. It says call in a week.
We'll break down the text you sent. You said all I was told is, correct?
Correct.
So you're talking about, at this point, something that was told to you.
Correct.
And then you continue, it will begin and you will not know when, where, or how. Call me in 1 week.
Call me in 1 week.
So the call me in 1 week is something that you're saying wasn't told to you, but is what you're telling to Sadie.
Correct.
But everything prior to that is what you were told.
Objection, it's argumentative.
No, it says you will not. My message was to Sadie, and it says you will not. So that's my message to Sadie. I'm not repeating what was said to me. That message is to Sadie.
So what were you told then? Because you're saying all I was told is, but you're saying
She's making eye contact with Sadie right now.
Is not what you were told, but is something you're just telling Sadie?
All I was told was it will be again. That's what I was told. And then I say you will not know where or how. Call me in a week. That's my text message.
So what did you mean to Sadie then when you told her you will not know when, where, or how?
I don't know. I was being cryptic in the fact that I thought Zach was actually able to read her messages at that point.
So you don't know what you meant by this text then?
I know what I meant by it, and it's basically saying it'll be a week and you can get it's to her.
So at any point did you get Sadie's phone?
No, I already said that nothing happened. I already said that nothing came of it.
But when you texted her, you didn't tell her that someone would need her phone.
I didn't have to tell her that at that point.
So you're thinking that Miss Beecham knew what your cryptic text meant?
No, I didn't think that she knew what it meant.
Overruled. You can answer.
I just did. I said no, I didn't know for sure that she needed to know at that point.
Did you give law enforcement your son's information to talk to him about this?
They asked about where he was, and I said that he was stationed in Virginia at this time. And that was all I was asked.
You didn't give them his phone number?
No.
Did you give him an email?
No, I wasn't asked.
No further questions.
Okay, they didn't really have any real way to attack her evidence, and so they dug at what they could. I don't think it was very effective. Let's see if there's a little any redirect here. Nope, she's done.
We have no redirect.
Right, so.
Yep,
Yeah.
she's out.
We're done. You may step down.
Thank you.
Yeah, they started to look a little bit argumentative. I don't think they got her to backtrack or cross her own testimony at all.
Anna Judd to the stand.
Anna Judd? Missed the first name. Sorry, I talked over it. This might be a spam call. Hang on. Okay, that's actually one of those good calls when you get from the bank where they're like, hey, we'd like to call and just check there's a transfer of money. Are you aware of that? In my case, I was.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Please be seated.
Debbie, can we have a police chase today? I'm not in charge of making people run from
Agent
the cops,
Judd,
but if that happens
can you
today,
state your first and last name and
I'd be
spell
happy
both
to
of your
live
names
stream
for
it.
the record.
Hannah Judd, HANNAHJUDD.
And Agent Judd, how are you employed?
I'm a special agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
I expected
How
you to
long
say
have you
sled.
been employed in that capacity?
I started the academy in June of 2022 and graduated in October.
October of last year?
Correct.
Okay. And so you've been an FBI agent officially out of the academy since that date?
Correct.
Prior to that employment, were you also employed by the FBI in a different capacity?
Yes, I was a staff operations specialist.
And how long were you employed as a staff operations specialist for the FBI?
Since about March of 2017 and additional professional support staff positions prior to that.
How long have you been employed by the FBI altogether?
Since June of 2014.
Okay, and can you mention again what the position is in terms of being a specialist before you were an agent?
Sure. So as a staff operations specialist, which means I provided direct case support in the form of communications analysis, data analysis, open source research, and social media research.
And so you were not an agent, but you were directly assisting agents in those capacities?
Yes.
Were phone records a large part of your duties as a staff operations specialist?
Yes.
And are there various, or is there a program that the FBI utilizes to provide them data about what cell phone towers phones are utilizing based on the phone records you're provided by the carriers?
Could you rephrase the question?
Sure.
I got lost in that
Let me ask you
question.
this way:
Sure.
if you have someone's phone number in your capacity as a staff operations specialist, was there a way you were trained to try to figure out cell tower information regarding that phone?
Yes, so a search warrant would have to be obtained in order to get those records. And then there is a program that the FBI has that automates the analysis of those records, but I also would do analysis by hand to ensure the quality of that analysis.
And did you receive any specialized training regarding the analysis that we're speaking about thus far?
Yes, I took a approximately 2-day course put on by the cell site analysis experts of the FBI.
And after having completed that course, were you a person regularly used by the FBI to look at a phone number and attempt to figure out cell tower information regarding that number?
Yes, I was.
Okay. So back in May of 2020, well, let me go through the time period of May through November of 2020. Were you still employed in that capacity?
Yes, I was.
And during that time period, were you at one point asked to assist the Kenosha Police Department regarding phone activity on a phone in a case that you knew to be named Zachariah Anderson?
Yes, I was.
And was the phone number that you were asked to take a look at 262-689-3585? Was that one of the primary numbers you were asked to investigate?
Yes, that was one of the
I feel
numbers.
bad for anyone who might accidentally get assigned that number now.
Based on your training, based on your duties, and having that number, were you able to figure out the carrier for that number?
I was provided the search warrant records that Kenosha Police Department had obtained from a search warrant authorized by the Circuit Court in Kenosha, and those were records provided by U.S. Cellular.
So at that point you knew who the carrier was?
Yes.
Okay. You had a phone number, and you had records?
Correct.
Okay. And mechanically then, were you asked first to find out if this phone, again, 689-3585, whether that phone had been in Kenosha at any time that the records reflected?
Yes.
Okay. And were you able then to use the FBI program you'd been trained on to do a search to see whether that phone had been in Kenosha during any of the relevant time periods?
So in this case, I did not use that program. I completed the analysis by hand. So I interpreted the cell towers that were provided in the call detail records and did a search through all of those for an instance in the Kenosha area.
And had you been given ahead of time a particular date to look for in this regard, or was it a
Judge,
wide
I'm
range?
going to object to this line of questioning based on the witness's own representation that she relied on data that was provided by a third-party source. The state has not provided notice as to relying on that record, whether that record's been certified. None of that evidence has even been introduced yet.
Well, we stipulated to this.
No, we have not stipulated to the certification of records. This was a point in my motions in limine.
Did the state just make a big mistake?
So
This is not her fault,
stipulation, Judge,
not the girl's, the
that all-
witness's fault.
Judge, if I can,
We hear this outside the
Why
presence of
don't
the
I
jury.
take a look at the stipulation?
and
Why don't I take a look at the stipulation?
Wow. Let's see what happened here. This might have been I think defense has argued something earlier today, or maybe it was yesterday, where they had actually already stipulated to it and then withdrew their objection. So she may be wrong here. We haven't seen her really make a big mistake like that often. Judge is reading the stipulation. The stipulation is where both sides come together and agree on a set of facts. In math, it would be called a given. It's just we accept that this that the following is the case, and we won't fight each other or require them to, to prove each point. We can just accept it and agree and start there. It doesn't look as clean cut as maybe the prosecution would like it to be. Judge is thinking it over.
Well, it's going to depend, I think, on the degree of confidence that the witness is able to express as to the authenticity of the records. So, even though it says without foundational testimony, I mean, there has to be something to authenticate what she was working
The state
with.
doesn't have this level of authentication.
Well, I will have a detective who will indicate I was a part of doing subpoenas for these records, and then I turn them over to the FBI. We have that detective is still to testify in this case. But again, we are. This says we have the foundation stipulated to. So I would not be on notice that I would need to provide anything additional. That the phone number I've given is the phone number of the defendant. These are phone records from the relevant period of time. We've already talked about that. So there'd be no reason for the state to assume that this stipulation would not cover these phone records. We, in fact, Judge, have been presenting phone records of this very phone number throughout this case.
As long as the witness is assured that the records are authentic, then I think you've covered it with the stipulation.
Is there going to be a quick voir dire?
Okay. So should I go on?
If you wish.
Thank you. Again, my question at this time was, were you provided ahead of time any specific date to look for, other than a range of time period, to look for Kenosha tower information for this particular phone?
So I was asked specifically to look at the time period of May 17th and 18th, but then also any time in the records when the phone would have registered calls on cell towers in Kenosha.
And did you find an occasion where the phone, again, 689-3585, did register on a Kenosha tower to provide then to the Kenosha Police Department?
Yes, there was one instance on May 13th that a call was registered on a cell tower located in the Kenosha suburb area.
And did you prepare a visual map or diagram pursuant to your review of those records for purposes of display?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 289. And my first question is this a document you prepared?
Yes, it is.
Can you help me?
I did not hear the witness authenticate the authenticity of the documents, that basically the point of that objection. It seems like the judge said the witness has to be able to testify with a degree of certainty that these are authentic.
This, again, the record,
I never heard that.
For May 13th that you just indicated?
Yes.
Okay. And what did your review reveal in terms of May 13th on that phone number that we just talked about?
There was one phone call that occurred on the U.S. Cellular site at 818 12th Street, Summer, Wisconsin, at approximately 9:34 p.m.
And were you provided the address for an individual identified as Rosalio Gutierrez as well?
Yes.
And did you indicate that on this map?
Yes.
Can you just approach the diagram and with your finger, Judge, could we use that pointer?
Thank you, Your Honor.
DP just gifted 5 memberships. Adam
Can you
Tomatia.
approach 289 up on display and just indicate with the pointer where it is you have an address that would be relevant?
Wood Fairy. Debbie Tankersley. A Nana of 5, and I love my familiar. All gifted memberships. Thank you, DP, for that. Appreciate that. Congratulations, new members.
So, from your perspective, the cell tower is in the location you've mentioned, and the proximity is outlined on this map on 289 regarding where that particular address, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Other than this, did you ever find the phone that we've spoken about in Kenosha?
Not for the time period I was provided.
Okay. Is this document, 289, a true and accurate representation of your review and conclusions regarding the phone you were asked to take a look at for May 13th, 2020?
Yes, and it was also peer-reviewed by an associate of mine.
Has it been changed or altered in any way other than the sticker being placed on this particular exhibit?
No.
Judge, I move admission of State's Exhibit 289.
Objection.
I would ask that it be conditionally accepted, or conditionally moved in, with the condition being the authentication of the records by the detective.
I'm going to receive it subject to your cross, and if there's an issue raised, then I'll reconsider it.
So it's received at this point?
Right.
Okay. And other than the task of seeing if the phone number in question had been to Kenosha, were you also asked to take a look at the same phone number and see where it had been, if you could determine, during the dates of May 17th and May 18th?
Yes.
And did you prepare a diagram or a map that also reflected what you found regarding that?
Yes, I prepared a series of maps indicating the different locations.
So I'm going to first show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 290.
Amy Cairns just gifted 5 memberships as well. Rachel Esser, Cinnamon Bear, Laura 77, Angie, and Danelle Medley.
Is 290 a map that you prepared?
Congratulations.
And
Thank you.
this,
Thank you very much,
account
Amy.
for
Appreciate
a certain
that.
time period regarding that same phone that we've already spoken about?
Yes, this covers the time period of May 17th at 10:20 a.m. through May 18th at 6:38 a.m.
Okay, so throughout the evening hours of May 17th, correct?
Yes.
Into May 18th and through the early morning hours?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a period of time on May 17th where this phone is receiving calls that are not answered?
Yes.
And what is the time period that this phone is receiving calls that are not answered?
There were approximately 5 phone calls that were unanswered, forwarded to voicemail between 7:47 p.m. and 8:47 p.m.
Okay, I want to ask you about the limitations in your ability to be helpful on phone location, U.S. cellular records back in 2020 from May to November. If a phone call is not answered, are you able to provide any information to anyone regarding that phone's location?
No, if a call is forwarded to voicemail, U.S. Cellular does not provide any cell site information.
So anytime a phone's not answered, it's not going to register one way or another as to where it is, correct?
Correct.
Okay. What about texts, right? So a large number of people no longer use their phone for voice discussion anymore. Are you aware of this?
Yes.
Okay. So if something is texted, does it show up in any review of any of the records that you've done so far or that we're going to talk about now?
No, based on my experience and training at the time, U.S. Cellular did not provide cell site records for text messages, and also as far as location information, my training told me that voice calls are the best evidence as far as location for the phone.
Okay. So again, the limitations then are text messages are not covered, unanswered voice calls are also not covered.
Yes.
What if a person calls?
Well, there was an answer 3 or 4 questions ago I wanted to be clear on.
Yeah.
And that was that calls which were forwarded is what you said are not recorded. Calls that are not answered. Do all calls that are forwarded fall into the category as not having been answered, even if they are answered at the forwarded number?
Wait, she meant forwarded to voicemail.
Did you hear that?
What she said was forwarded to voicemail.
What?
Oh, is that so?
Yes, Your Honor.
Nobody knows what
she
he's
didn't
talking
mean call
about.
forwarding to a different number or a different location.
Well, okay.
So
Thank you.
Could I clarify?
Please.
So in the records, there's a indication for when calls are forwarded to voicemail. And so when we see that code, there is no cell site record associated with that instance.
Okay, so let me just be sure I got this. So texts you're not
Let's
able
beat
to
this
cover.
dead horse.
Correct.
And if somebody calls the phone, whether I answer it and have no voicemail, or if I have a voicemail set up and so it goes to my voicemail, in either of those cases, it's not covered by your records in terms of cell tower data.
I don't know exactly how U.S. Cellular defines call forwarded to voicemail, but if U.S. Cellular registers the call as a call that was forwarded to voicemail, then there is no cell site record, correct?
Okay.
Judge is safe with his alibi. He's good.
So we've indicated there were 5 calls during that hour period in the evening hours of May 17th that were not, that went to voicemail, right? Were not answered?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Sherry.
For the rest of the time period that you have talked about on this, where is the same phone that we talked about from May 13th?
It's in the Mequon area, registering calls on a cell tower in Mequon and a cell tower in Cedarburg.
Okay. At what times is it doing each?
Okay.
And if you need to get closer or to be able to review it, feel free to do that.
Yes.
Is
Hey,
there-
Lisa,
do you still have
the
any
state
other
looks good right now only because the state's the only one presenting evidence, really. We've got a little bit of cross from on each witness,
You're
but
maybe assisted in having the map.
this is part of the trial where the state looks good. So far the state looks good. Defense will start here probably later this week, about Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon.
Let's talk about
We'll see
when
how
is
that
the
happens.
phone where a voice call is being answered. When is the phone going off of Mequon location?
Okay, so the first call on May 17th registers off of this tower in Mequon at approximately 10:20 a.m.
On the 17th.
on the 17th.
Okay, morning of the 17th.
The next call on the 17th also registers on the same cell tower at approximately 12:06 p.m.
Okay, so around lunchtime, still Mequon.
At approximately 4:42 p.m., there is a call that registers on the Cedarburg cell site located here.
Okay.
This is where Brandi should be taking notes because she'll need to spell this out
And
for us.
then at 4:53, 4:54, 4:55, and 4:57,
There are calls that register on this cell site in Mequon.
So the phone is again off of Mequon Towers in the late afternoon, just before 5. Then what?
There is another call at 6:23 p.m. on the Mequon Tower.
Okay.
A call at 6:35 p.m. on the Cedarburg Tower.
All right.
A call at 6:47 p.m., 6:59 p.m. on the Mequon Tower.
So what's the latest one so far? 6:59?
6:59.
On the Mequon Tower? Okay.
Yes. And then a call at 7:20 p.m. and 7:34 p.m. on the Cedarburg Tower.
Okay, then what?
Then there are no calls until 11:19 that register on the cell towers until 11:19 p.m.
So let me stop you. So the Cedarburg one, which was the last one where you had to register on the Cedarburg Tower, was what? What was the latest time?
7:34 p.m.
7:34 Cedarburg. And then the very next one that you see is when?
11:19 p.m.
Okay.
on the Mequon Tower.
So no tower activity at all from 7:30 to 11:19. 7:30, whatever, to 7:19. I mean 11:19.
Correct, 7:34 to 11:19 p.m.
Okay. Then at 11:19, where is it?
There's a call that registers on the Mequon cell tower.
Okay, so back in the Mequon Tower at 11:19. All right.
Do you just drive back and forth
Anything else
all day?
on this particular exhibit?
Yes, so then there are 2 phone calls that register on the Mequon Tower at 12 o'clock a.m. on May 18th. And then there were no calls in the records between 12 a.m. and 6:36 a.m. when there's another call on the Mequon Tower.
Okay, so just so I understand, there is a call. There's a call or two right at 12 a.m., so right at midnight.
Yes.
Okay. The phone's in Mequon at that point.
Yes.
And then nothing until 6:36 a.m.?
Correct. No calls sent or received.
Okay. And then at that time, the phone is again in Mequon?
Yes.
Okay. Or the tower is again Mequon?
And then there is one additional call at 6:38 a.m. that registers on the Cedarburg cell tower.
Okay. All right. And do those towers, based on your review of the information, appear to be nearby each other?
Yes.
Okay. So based on your review of the records, is there any reason to believe that when it's at a Cedarburg Tower as opposed to the Mequon Tower that the phone is actually moving somewhere, or are those close enough that you would not think that was
They're close enough, I think.
that is something somebody should conclude? If you know.
You can't definitively say whether or not the phone was moving, but it is possible, given the proximity of those 2 towers, that the phone was stationary.
Okay. So this in no way indicates, even though it's 2 different towers, that the person has necessarily moved because of how close they are.
It's not required, no.
Okay. As to Exhibit 290, does it appear to be a true and accurate representation of the documentation you prepared in your investigation?
Yes.
Appear to be changed or altered in any way other than the sticker that's on it?
No.
Move admission of 290, Judge.
No objection.
Yep.
Look at that backhanded pass. He's not even looking at her, just hands the paper.
Continue then to look through the phone activity again on this same phone later on May 18th.
Yes.
And were you able also to find some information regarding tower activity then later in the day?
Yes.
Now I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 291. And ask you, is this a document that you prepared?
Yes.
And
EDB is awesome. I love her as well.
The
Sherry.
phone tower activity of the same phone later on in the day on the 18th.
Yes, this displays 3 phone calls that occurred in the Belgium area.
Is there a mistake on this one with the pie chart?
Belgium
of the
area,
tower?
what time is this phone located or coming off the towers in the Belgium area?
So there's 1 call at approximately 8:45 a.m. and 2 calls at 11:38 a.m. and 11:41 a.m. respectively.
Okay. So the time period would be the morning hours starting from around 8:30 until almost noon. That's where the phone is going off towers in those 3 calls.
For those 3 calls, yes.
Okay. Then did you take a look then at any activities on this phone, same phone, from noon on?
Yes.
On May 18th. Okay. And were you able then to do some mapping or some diagramming in that regard?
Yes.
I think the judge just said he lives right on the,
Martha States
on the
Exhibit
shore.
292.
It's possible that tower, the elements, the different antenna arrays were not exactly oriented to cover a specific area, so they
So
might
as to
have overlapped a
292,
little bit.
again, is this a document you prepared pursuant to your investigation?
Yes.
And does this then track the activities of this same phone from noon to a certain time period?
Yes.
And that's from when to when?
From this map shows the calls that occurred at 6:38 a.m. that I previously talked about, and then the calls that occurred from approximately 11:48 a.m. through 4:15 p.m.
Okay, so we've covered some of these on the prior diagram.
Yes.
So I'm not going to repeat those. What are more further into the day calls that are on this diagram, which is Exhibit 292?
I love that she's
So
pointing
at
out on the Elmo instead of on the
11:48
wall.
a.m., there is a call that registers on the south side located here in the approximate Port Washington area. At approximately 11:55 a.m., there is a call that registers on the south side here, also in Port Washington area. Also at 11:55 a.m., there is a call that registers on this cell tower in Grafton. At approximately 12:23 p.m., there's a call that registers on this cell site in Grafton. And then between 1:30 p.m. and 4:15 p.m., there are 6 calls that register on this cell site in Mequon.
And is that back in that original location where many of the other calls were?
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm going to, and as to Exhibit 292, does that appear to be a true and accurate representation of what you prepared in your investigation in this case?
Yes.
Any changes or alterations other than the sticker that's placed on that exhibit?
No.
Again, I'm going to ask admission then of 292, Your Honor.
Objection?
No.
Receive.
I'm now asking you to take a look at State's Exhibit 293. Is this also a document you prepared in your investigation in this case?
Yes.
Pursuant to this document, were you taking a look at some additional time period on the 18th of May 2020 to see where this same phone went?
Yes, between approximately 4:15 p.m. and 4:52 p.m.
And during that time period, were you able to make a determination what, if any, tower activity was going on in regards to this phone?
Yes. There was one call at approximately 4:15 p.m. that occurred on this cell tower in Mequon, and one call that occurred at approximately 4:52 p.m. on the cell tower in Menominee Falls.
Is that Exhibit 293, is that a true and accurate representation of what you prepared in your investigation in this case?
Yes.
And other than the sticker, is it changed or altered in any way from the document you prepared?
No.
Move admission of 293.
No.
Now I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 294 and ask, did you also take a look later in the day on the 18th from 8:34 p.m. Into the morning hours of May 19th. Is that what 294 depicts?
Yes, this depicts the rest of the day on May 18th.
Right, and so for May 18th, the rest of the day, what, if anything, can you tell us in terms of the cell tower activity of the phone in question?
So at 8:34 p.m., there was a call that registered on this cell tower in Mequon. At approximately between 8:48 p.m. and 9:52 p.m., there were 4 calls that registered on this cell tower, also in Mequon. There was 1 call that registered on this cell tower in Milwaukee. at approximately 9:57 p.m. and one call that registered on this cell tower at approximately 9:58 p.m. also in Mequon.
And is that the last call that registered?
Yes, for May 18th.
Okay. And then, so when is the next time there's a call then on that phone where there's voice contact after that time?
May 19th at 8:41 a.m.
And May 19th in the morning, where is the cell tower activity at that time?
It is in Mequon, but that is not depicted on the map.
Okay, because that was outside of the time period you were asked to take a look at. Is that right?
Yes.
So as to 294, then is that a true? I'm sorry, this one, not this one. Yeah. As to 294, is that a true and accurate copy of your mapping activities in terms of phone tower activity of the phone in question back on the date of, in this case, May 18th, 2020?
Yes.
And does it appear to be changed or altered in any way from what you put together other than the sticker that's affixed on it?
No.
Move admission of 294 then as well, Your Honor?
Any objection?
No, Judge.
Received.
Okay, I think they're about done with this witness. We'll turn it over to Cross here soon, I'm guessing. I want to see if the Cross on the examination of her, exactly how they try to discredit the authentication of the documents, the authenticness. There's a word there somewhere I can't quite spit out. I think you guys know what I mean. Don't at me. Man bun sleepy. She is a young agent. She's not an expert. She's just a special agent.
Is registering calls off of
Authenticity.
his
Thank
site
you very
in
much, Amber.
Belgium, Wisconsin, in the early morning hours from about 8:45 to 11:41. Are there any missed calls that you observed?
Yes, there was a missed call around 10:30 a.m. I can't recall the specific time.
And when was that call returned? In other words, was there a call made from this phone to that same number sometime after that?
Yes.
You know when it was?
One of the calls that occurred between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. was that call.
Okay. So do you remember the exact time at this point without reviewing your report?
I don't.
I'm going to ask you would a review of your report regarding that topic refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Okay.
Where is
it? Great little comment here. Josh says, I just sent me a message on the burner phone. He's saying on the boxes of gloves and on also the garbage bags.
As to missing a call at 10:31 a.m.
What if those were for his marijuana grow operation?
Belgium, Wisconsin tower. When was it returned? Okay. So I'm going to just point you to a specific sentence in case that assists. It starts right there, Zachariah.
The call was returned at approximately 10:38 a.m.
So about an hour later.
Yes, correct.
For his actual job. Construction, you generally don't use a lot of light gloves like that. Having worked a fair amount of it myself. And having a son who's worked as well, doing the same sort of things that he was doing. Got lots of family that have done remodels, flipping houses, things like that. Even really nasty houses. You don't go through a lot of nitrile gloves. those were the Playtex ones, like we used for
further the witness, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Let's see if they go for the throat right off the bat. Well, the judge is just getting text after text after text.
Judge, I'm going to show you what was just basically showed to you, but State's Exhibit 290. And this was the chart you had made for Mr. Anderson's phone activity on May 17th from 10:20 a.m. to May 18th, 6:38 a.m.
Yes.
And there was a phone call that you said was made at 11:19 p.m. on May 17th, 2020?
Yes.
And that pinged at the bottom or to the right Mequon Tower?
Yes.
And you had indicated that based on all of these calls and where the towers were located, that it was likely or probable that the phone was stationary, even though it was pinging on different cell towers.
It's a possibility, yes.
And can you explain to the jury why that is?
So, cell towers have a certain radius that they can reach. When a call is made, it registers off of what is the closest in proximity to that phone. If there are two towers that are in near proximity to each other, the phone can select either one. There would have to be additional information from the provider to determine exactly how far that phone was from
They're trying to trip her up.
And you didn't get that information?
No.
And another reason that sometimes a phone might ping to a different cell tower is if there's too much activity on one tower, the phone then might go to a different tower.
So generally, the first tower that a phone registers the call on will be the cell tower that is closest in proximity, and then the network will manage the calls after that.
So it would go to one, if it's too busy, too much traffic going on at one, the network will say, hey, let's bump them to a different tower.
Yes.
Okay. That could also explain why we see a phone pinging at different locations that are in close proximity. That the network had decided to bump it to a different tower.
No, because this register, the register that we analyzed, is the first instant that the call touches the network. So it's the cell tower that the phone chooses to make contact with.
Okay, so you didn't get any information for any second or subsequent, or the information you did receive and reviewed only showed that first tower?
I would have to review the specific records from U.S. Cellular, but it is my practice to only review the first cell tower that a phone connects to.
Okay, so that's helpful here. So the phone call then that was placed at 11:19 p.m., that's pinging at this cell tower, correct?
Yes.
That was the first tower that the phone went to, so that's going to be the tower that the phone is in closest proximity to.
Yes, it's the tower that the phone selected to connect to.
Okay, and that's true for that 11:19 p.m. call?
Yes.
It's a trap.
And then, sounds kind of like a dumb question, but there were no phone calls on May 17th or to May 18th for this time period in Kenosha, Wisconsin, correct?
Correct.
Wanted to draw your attention then to State's exempt. Do you have the Belgian one? Yeah. So you had testified that there were no calls from, what was it, midnight May 18th to was it 6 something in the morning?
6:36, yes.
Okay. And you can't comment on why there's an absence of phone calls, correct?
No.
So May 18th, 2020, in State's Exhibit 291, again, these calls that were made, the one call at 8:45 and then the 2 calls that were made at 11:38, ping at this cell tower, and this was the first cell tower that picked it up, so it was the closest cell tower to that phone.
Yes.
I'm sorry, which call are you referring to? I apologize. It's hard to hear because we're not
Well, you
facing
can see the exhibit.
I can't read it from here, so just could you tell me the number again, please?
Well, it's the
She won't tell him the exhibit
291.
number. She won't tell him the exhibit
The
number.
time of the call you're referring to was my question, because it's hard to hear you because you're facing away, so
Sure,
I'm just asking you to repeat it. I apologize.
Talking to the mic, please. Now's the
Give you
perfect chance.
exhibit.
Okay, thanks.
This is petty.
Same thing
This is back and forth.
for those calls, right? That cell tower is where the phone is closest in proximity to.
It's the cell tower the phone selects, yes.
Got it?
So I stand corrected on those items for construction. I never did construction during the COVID period, and apparently that was regularly
Okay,
purchased.
sorry about that.
So
then,
thanks for correcting me on that.
based on the data and what you reviewed, the phone calls that happened at 8:45 a.m. and 11:38 a.m. are close in proximity to this tower
Yes.
in Belgium, Wisconsin.
Yes.
And on May 18th, 2020 to May 19th, 2020, were there any calls that pinged in Kenosha?
No.
I'm going to show you what was marked as 293, but before I do that, I'm going to show it to the state so they can see the phone calls.
All she needs to do is get this witness to say that this cell tower is the one the phone was closest to, and have proof that he was somewhere else at that time, like closer to another cell tower.
Okay.
And
so
try to trap her. I think that's where she's going with this.
These were the phone calls from
Those
May
nails
18th,
get me every time. Wow.
4:15 p.m. to 4:52 p.m. And again, sorry to be repetitive, but I just want to go through it with each of these exhibits. I'm more interested in the phone call that occurred at 4:52 p.m. in Menominee Falls. So the phone, when that call was made, pinged at the tower, and that was the tower closest to the cell phone.
It would be the cell tower that the phone selected as the
closest one.
Okay. I would have to have more advanced training to speak specifically to how the phone selects the cell towers. I just know that the first cell tower that appears on the records as the call registering to is the cell tower that the phone selects. So we view it as the most reliable for location information.
Okay. And do you know, and if you don't, that's fine, do you know about proximity mile-wise, how far a phone would need to be to ping off of that first?
It depends on the tower. So each tower will have a radius set by the cell phone company. And again, there are experts that have additional training and know those kind of radiuses, but I do not have that training.
Okay. But still, your testimony stands that this was the phone call that was made at 4:52 in this area was the first tower that the cell phone did choose.
Yes.
You just can't provide further information on why.
Correct.
That's fine.
Zach's completely bored with this murder trial.
The state had asked
He's
you
over
about
it.
a missed call that was made on May 18th, 2020. And you had noted that It was what the phone number was that, I don't know if you actually said it. I apologize if I do. But the missed call that Mr. Anderson had on the 18th, he called back, correct?
Correct.
That phone number, you had also done a location data analysis on that phone number as well, correct?
I don't recall. I reviewed a number of phone records. If I prepared a report for it, I did review it.
If I showed you your report, would that help refresh your recollection?
Yes.
I had gotten things mixed up. There were several other phones, though, that you did do analysis as well on. Do you remember those people's names of who you did them on, or would you need to see your reports to refresh your recollection?
I would need to see my reports to refresh my recollection.
I don't have all of your reports printed out because there were a lot, so I'm just going to give you my computer.
Okay.
I've never seen this. I'm just going to give the witness, the defense, the playbook, and just flip through, see if there's something you can look at. I should have printed this off earlier. This is the equivalent of turning in your computer instead of your homework because it's on your computer. I'm surprised it's accepted. First of all, because the defense wants to look at it. They don't know what she's looking at there. Looks like a nice MacBook. It's the new version. Here's my Facebook page. Can you friend me? I think now that the computer has been used on the stand, it has to be entered as evidence, and the prosecution should be able to review it thoroughly. The DA did that in the ice cream murder trial, so this is common now. Toner is expensive, Adam. You're absolutely right. Why don't they just have a printer so they can print something off? I mean, this.
I think she was just going through them. There's quite a few.
I know, but it's okay with me if she just reads the names as opposed to trying to memorize them. Is it refreshing recollection? May not. Is what I'm saying. It may not work if it's a few names.
If you don't mind, then yeah. If you want to just go and name the names of the other individuals that you had analyzed the phone records of.
Yes.
Are these names that have been mentioned in this case before?
Yeah,
or are they names of people?
They're names of people who have been mentioned.
Oh.
I don't know about. I can't remember all the names.
Were you working with other warrants or cases?
Yeah,
they were all for this case.
Everything.
Everything, yes.
Okay.
Okay, and the names that are associated to these phone numbers were provided to me by the Kenosha Police Department. I didn't do a separate verification of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that helps. Thank you.
So Andrew Schultz, Fred Brown Williamson.
I'd like to have your name on this list.
Jason Palmer, Josh Anderson, Solomon Anderson, and Zachariah Anderson.
Thank you.
It was nice of the state to bail her out there and just let her read the names.
You just read. Had you done any other analysis in this case?
It's a list of other people she's analyzed.
Or were you asked to do any other analyses by the Kenosha County or the Kenosha Police Department?
I do not recall specifically.
My recollection is I prepared a report for every phone that I analyzed that had cell site records available that I was asked to.
I have nothing further for the witness, Judge.
Any redirect?
She didn't attack the authenticity
We have no further questions.
of the documents.
May I step down? Thank you.
This would be a logical time to break since we have a new witness and new mechanics.
All right,
to talk about.
let's take a break.
Get a little break.
Please don't rewatch or listen to any account of the trial. Discuss the case with anyone, even fellow jurors. About 10 to 15 minutes.
All right. As I respond here on the burner phone, I do try to respond to almost every message I get on the burner phone, which is becoming a bigger and bigger chore. I recognize when I started out, I promised I would respond to everybody. I did not realize how many of you might contact me on the burner phone. So I try to respond and even answer the phone as many times as I can when you guys call or reach out to me. At some point, I might not be able to respond as much as I am right now. Judge has taken up the microphone. Yes, everybody stretch. I think it's time for yoga. Judge Newman led us in yoga in Alex Murdaugh's trial, where we all got to roll out our mat and find our own space in the courtroom and stretch. Do I need an assistant? I definitely do. It's crazy. I think the burner phone was never designed to handle the volume of calls that it gets. It's complained on numerous occasions directly to me. But okay, let's see where we are. We have I'm grabbing a crochet hook, get some knitting done or crocheting done. I missed the judge picking up the microphone. Is he going to sing? Don't get doxxed if we subpoena your cell tower data. I think the burner phone goes through a VPN. I think I'm good. Judge really doesn't enjoy his work. Carol, this is funny. You bring this up. The judge earlier, there was a brief little explanation to the jury that seemed strange, and then I realized what he was doing. There had been an objection, and then he paused and turned to the jury and said something about I do civil work and things like this. The judge got caught red-handed, not paying attention in trial. He was working on paperwork for his other work, his day job. This is his side gig that he does, just a couple criminal trials. He's mostly out of this realm. Doesn't do many of these anymore. But he got caught in the middle of the paperwork and had no idea what was going on. Was completely lost and used that moment to stall and inadvertently played his cards and showed all his hand that he was doing some other paperwork for the civil work that he's behind on, and that's why he had no idea what was going on. I thought that was a little funny. Rich says, I still miss my Newman. Hey, Nicole is working on her YouTube channel. If I can out you, Nicole. Nicole Goodman is working on her YouTube. There she is. I saw your name, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm hoping that soon we'll be able to share her channel. I know a lot of you really appreciate being able to get Matthew Harris's take on things and Nicole's take on things. Two of the lawyer friends in the chat, friends of the channel, often with different perspectives that they offer. So I'm going to just put a little pressure on Nicole here to speed things up. I can't wait to share your YouTube channel on here. We're super excited about it. It's going to be awesome. And let me know if there's anything else I can do. I talked to you briefly on the burner phone, I think, over text. If there's anything else I can help with, let me know. Yes, soon. Okay, I'm going to hold you to that, Nicole. Super excited. Text me the channel name or something. I want to look at how the banner turned out. Okay, KQD says the like, 269 to lurker, 921, there's the ratio. And that is not quite equivalent to pi. We need to get it up to some derivative of pi because it's Pi Day today. What kind of attorney is Nicole? Also a good one. There are good ones and bad ones. She's a good one. I'll send you the pic of the banner, but later when your phone isn't blowing up, that's all right. It will probably get buried anyway. I do try to catch up sometimes in the middle of the night. I do apologize because I reply when I'm available, and sometimes it's when I wake up in the middle of the night with an idea, and I'm like, hey, I should probably do this. And then I check the phone, and I'm like, oh, I forgot to respond to messages. And I go start responding, and I realize it's pinging phones all over the country, all over the world. So sorry about that. If I accidentally, it's equivalent to a drunk dial in the middle of the night when I just respond to messages at odd hours. Nems Girl says, could the judge not paying attention and misruling on an objection be a cause for an appeal or mistrial? Misruling on an objection, I would say yes. And not paying attention in and of itself, no. We've had judges that have fallen asleep. Look at the Jensen trial. The judge fell asleep in that one and completely snored through an objection, and they had to be like, Your Honor, we had an objection. He's like, oh, what? What is it? Yeah, we've had that, and that's not uncommon. Judges have fallen asleep before. I think the bigger problem is the misruling on an objection. If there's the objection would have to be of the sort that would, that on appeal, the defendant could argue that it changed the outcome of the case, and because of that, he should have a new trial. So it would have to be a big mistake. So yes, it could be. It's not good for judges to fall asleep, but generally it's not. I'll turn the sounds up for a little bit. Generally, it's not a problem. I reply at 3 a.m., says Christy. I do as well. Just for fun, says Shelley, here's a fun quote. Here's a quote from Recovery Addict this morning. There's a fine line between fun and felony. That was my tagline when I was selling lockpick sets, which I had to do in person. I had ordered. I'll tell you this. I ordered from a factory overseas. I ordered a whole bunch of lockpick sets, and I was ready to sell them and realized I couldn't, and so I had to sell them in person because you can deliver them to people. But every time I did that, I said, first of all, I need you to understand that I'm delivering you something that, in the wrong situation, can get you jail time. If you decide to, speed or borrow someone's car without permission, and you have this in your possession, it goes from being a fun toy to being burglary tools. And suddenly you get an added charge for that. And there are some states where it's illegal to possess altogether these lockpick sets, unless you're a certified locksmith. Like card carrying, must have the card on you at all times type. I'm looking at Tennessee. I think that's one.
Back, taking it easy.
Oh, yeah. Sharon McDonald, just for clarification, as today's pie day and you get sweet pies, as I'm eating a round sweet, does that count as a pie? If it's round and it's sweet, I think it will count. Sharon, we're going to go ahead and give you the okay. It's worse when the lawyers fall asleep. Oh my goodness. Goodman, this is why you have two lawyers, one to elbow the other one, right? And there was a couple moments during Alex Murdaugh's trial where Harpootlian seemed to be catching up a little bit on some rest. Apparently his digs that he stayed at, although they were luxurious, might not have provided the great deep sleep that he wanted. My phone doesn't notify me after 8 p.m., so you respond to me. I only see it when I'm awake on your phone. You're lucky, Wendy, because a few here have had the misfortune of me texting in the middle of the night. I think the judge is a referee and not a fact finder in a jury trial. Yeah. The refs occasionally can miss things, and they do. No, we can't give this judge a membership. He will never pay attention. I love seeing all the different thoughts and perspectives here. It's okay to disagree and still be friends. Kindness is the key. This chat is wonderful, along with the mods in the RA. Thank you so much, Suzanne. It is awesome to be here. I love having the different opinions as well. I mean, we've got people on here that almost always have a different opinion than me. I personally think that's great. I've told you the story once before of a friend of mine when I was in college who was talking about the uselessness of voting because one side always won in the particular state we were in. And he was on the other side. He said, why should I vote if my vote never counts? And I went to great lengths to teach him and educate him about how he could register and where he could vote, when he could go learn about the people who are running, and love the fact that he votes now and participates on a regular basis and engages in the process, even though every time he votes, he cancels my vote because he votes the other way, as I would. I think the process is better when different voices are involved. I think we together are better when we hear other opinions and things like that. And so I love that here. I love that we can do it in a civil way and still be friends afterwards. It's awesome. So thank you very much, Suzanne, for making that possible. When they ask the attorney to repeat the question, why does the clerk of recording, doesn't the clerk read it back? I think it's I think somebody in chat can probably tell me this a little bit better, but I think it's like going from record mode to playback mode for the clerk. The system is set up to input, and it's not just it's not as easy to just look back up on the screen and say, oh, this happened. Also, the way it's recorded, the key presses and everything, it records things in a more phonetic way, and it's not translated back into English. That's done when the transcription's actually made and it's official, and that can take quite a long time. That's why, as a matter of fact, there's going to be such a delay in the Alex Murdaugh trial, where we know that there's a notice of appeal that's already been filed, but it could be months before they have the transcription done from all of court, where they have all of the record, the transcription of what happened, ready and typed up and official and ready to go. So they can go back and read it. We have seen that a couple times where they did read it back, even in this court, but it's generally they don't. Let's see. What is the judge being on his phone, etc.? Could that cause an appeal? I wish. Maybe the judge would stop doing it if all the cases got appealed, all the convictions got appealed because he was on his phone. But I do think it's rude. I mean, I realize I'm on my phone when the judge is in session, but it seems rude, especially because the sound effects are turned on, because the sound notifications are on, and we're hearing noises while witnesses are testifying about for these witnesses, for some of them, this is like the second worst day of their life. The first worst day is when they went through whatever they're testifying about, and the second worst day is when they have to relive that in front of the world, in front of the cameras, and testify about it. And the judge is up here with the little beep 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 thing happening in the background. That for me, if I could have a word alone with the judge, I'd be like, Bruce, that's don't do that. Don't do that. Okay. When a judge willfully ignores his job, that seems to be worse than nodding off. Ivan says, I can't technically own lockpick sets or body armor the same as a firearm. Sorry, Ivan. But you can hire a personal defense, right? Let's see. A squirrel. Reminder, Friday night, join us here for the podcast. Yes, we've got a podcast 8 p.m. with Weatherwatch. Thomas from Weatherwatch. Weatherwatch is one of our great mods and a good friend of mine that I met through this channel. He was off last week, so we didn't have a podcast last Friday, but we're coming back this Friday, and it'll be better than ever. I'm super excited, although I'm not ready yet. Let's see. I'm excited to be back, says Thomas. Good. What time now? 7? I think 8. I mean, I could do 7, but I haven't okayed that with Thomas, and I know he's got work. Realize he's in Texas, so that's cutting into his work day at that point. So I think we have to do 8. I think that's right. 8 Eastern. Let's see. The recovery addict, Nems Girl says, the difference is we are spectators. The judge is directly involved with possibly convicting a man for life. That's the difference. You and the judge being on your phone. Dead horse go unbeaten. And that's why I love being here in the court of public opinion, where my opinion, although I share it often, it does not really matter. It does not affect the outcome of the trial. In our country, our judges rotate being on call for the presiding judge if he's out. However, they typically... Or you said county. I read country for some reason, Tish, and I'm like, I thought we were in the same country. In your county, the judges rotate being on call for a presiding judge if he's out. However, they typically start with explaining why the phone is making noises or ringing. That I could understand. If he would say, look, you guys, I apologize, but I'm doing something where I have to be available for XYZ. I mean, I had this. There was a time in my career where I was on call and I was on a team of 3, and then a team of 2, and then a team of 1. And being on call, I had to be available 24/7. And so I had to take my phone places where it would be rude to take your phone and answer. And I would have to answer every call that came in because the call could come from anywhere around the country regarding different things. And so that I can understand. I don't think that's the judge's situation. I'm not aware that that's the situation. I think you should do a throwback trial, Casey Anthony. Oh, P-Frog. If we do a throwback, it's probably going to be something a little more modern. I'm looking really hard at the ice cream trial down in Florida, the ice cream man trial. We'll have to look at the schedule. As this one comes to an end, we'll have to sort of keep our eye out and see what's happening in other trials and see what's coming up. if we have a big gap, I want to do a throwback trial. But we want to make sure we don't start a trial and I'll get really involved and into it, and then suddenly Sarah Boone comes along and we have to drop the trial right before closing arguments or something. I'd hate to do that to everybody, so I'll be careful how I select that. Why don't they use a voice transcript device over audios versus a reporter repeating the testimony like in Alex Murdaugh's trial? It's a lurking question. In Alex Murdaugh's, they had both. They had one, the male court clerk would use the stenographer machine, and the female would use the Darth Vader, fighter pilot oxygen mask. So they had a little of both in that one. Amber says, look, I offered to fill in for Weather Watch last week. That could have been a ton of fun. At some point, Amber, I think we might have some aspect of that on the podcast. Why am I getting weird audio chirps in my ear? Are you guys hearing that? It's going like chirp, chirp. Okay. I was looking over at Brandi's channel, and she's like 1,010 subscribers or 1,020 subscribers. It's awesome. She's growing. I do not doubt her talent is amazing, and there's such a need for it in the true crime community. I think she's going to pass us in no time whatsoever. Super excited for that. Let's see. Did anyone, this is Smoky Mountain Lady, says, did anyone learn anything about ZA's cell phone data? Recovery Addict 2. Yes and no. There's a lot of data that we need to have charted. The chart that they show, the maps and the cell phone towers, it tells us almost nothing.
Alex stole it as well.
Taking it easy.
It tells us almost nothing. It basically, even the witness on cross-examination or direct examination, I forget which one it was, said that it's possible that he might not have been moving at all. The phone for all these calls could have been in the exact same place. It could have been moving. It also could have not been moving. So at that point, it's like, so all we know is that a call was made. But the tower information gives us nothing. I don't know if Alex has a TV in jail. I would have to ask around. I know there's some people that have given some YouTube videos about his...
Let no dead horse go unbeaten.
Thank you, Harpulian, about his situation and what it's like, but I haven't followed that. Does any other county celebrate Mothering Sunday, where in the UK we honor our mothers, and mothers' churches is always called Mother's Day? In the UK, this is coming Sunday. We do have a Mother's Day. We don't call it Mothering Sunday, but we have a Father's Day and a Mother's Day. Generally, Mother's Day, where I am, is celebrated to celebrate the entire gender, not just those that are mothers, but generally anyone over the age of 12 that happens to be female is sort of lumped into that oftentimes. Typo judges, says Tish. I missed it. Let's see. Or I read it wrong, one of the two. Okay. We have Mother's Day in May. Please remind me what that day is so I do not forget. That would be bad. Rit says, I kind of want to know what Alex doing as he waits for his next trial, which may be in August. I think he's going to have the financial trials before his appeal comes up. His appeal, it might be 6 months before even the details of his appeal are made public.
Smokimblady just sent a super sticker with 2.
My voice has a hard time with Smoky Mountain Lady for some reason. Thank you very much for the Game Over super sticker. I appreciate that. May 14th, says Golden Mom. May 14th, usually second Sunday in May, or always second Sunday in May. Okay. Smoky Mountain, thank you for helping me with this evidence or lack of evidence. Yeah, it's been better. We've heard evidence using cell phones that's more useful than what we heard today. It's possible once we get the timestamp information together, with other evidence, if there is other evidence, especially like CCTV video of, if he was at the Walmart at the time when he made the call, that might be interesting. That might be useful. So it would sort of need another piece of evidence to go along with it to really be useful for me at this point, or have at least.
I was kicked back, taking it easy.
At least have another incident that happens at the time the call was being made that might say that he couldn't have done that because of that. Debbie says, I expect flowers. You would get whatever is blooming in my yard, Debbie, which there always seems to be something. Right now it's dandelions, but I always have something blooming. Prisoners have entire catalog of things to buy: TV, radio, clothes, shoes, you name it. Is that federal or state? Because I think he's in a state lockup right now, right? Big Mike just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much, Big Mike. Appreciate your support. Let me scroll down and see who were the lucky recipients. It looks like Monique Holmes, John Blake, Colleen, Debbie Rogers, and Mark Harper all gifted memberships by Big Mike. Thank you so much for your support, Big Mike, and congratulations to the new members, returning and new members both. Please just know that you can, in chat, type !seat and take your seat and move right up to the front row. Appreciate that. Okay, thank you very much, Big Mike. I have snow blooming in my yard. Grit grinder, that's the wrong kind of bloom. Snow is no good. We don't do that here in North Carolina very often. Let's see. We're supposed to be back from the break already. I'm not sure what the judge is doing. This is probably our last break before we close out for the day. So depending on how many more witnesses we have, I don't anticipate the daughter. They've used her name a million times. Can I just say Olivia, since that's her name? The mom's used her name in the trial, everything. We do anticipate the daughter is going to testify at some point, but I don't think it will be today. I do think it will be one of the last witnesses that the state puts on. Let's see.
I was kicked back, taking it easy.
Thank you, Danny. Appreciate that. Smoky Mountain Lady says, I'm going to change my username. Yeah, let me know. Let me know when you change it. We'll have to see if the voice can pronounce it correctly. All state prisons use the same catalog, JL Marcus. They have a website and everything. People can order for you, too. So it's like having an Amazon wish list, but it's delivers to a prison. Are the products...
We're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Are the products like made specifically for jail? I mean, is it like, does it have to pass a certain test? Like it doesn't have any sharp edges, or you can't take a piece off and, grind it into a knife? Is something like that? JL Marcus. I want to look at this catalog. JL Marcus catalog. Wow, I didn't doubt you, but this is just amazing. This is something I didn't know, Ivan. I had no clue. Yes, the TV are all clear radios too, so it's just clear plastic, so you can see what's inside. Let's see, paper spoons. The site isn't available right now. Apparently, Ivan linked it, and the whole thing went down. It's having a hard time loading for me as well. Need just a bit more water. See, later in the day, I have to use what's left of my water bottles to fill up my mug. So we've got just one of those moments here. Here's your warning, ASMR, coming up. Perfect. There we go. All right. I used to run a piece of software. This is just too much information. You guys don't want to know, but I'll tell you anyway. I used to run a piece of software that monitored when a website changed.
I'm not a camel.
It was designed to detect when something when a site had changed. It's like if it were hacked for some reason, if somebody hacked like Amazon and suddenly it came up with like Hackers R Us club information. Okay, that's a weird example, but that's what it would look for. I was going to say we need something like that for the Jack L. Marcus website, but it just barely pulled up right now, saying that the site is unavailable. So what I'd do is I would put one of those trackers on the website, and when it does become available, it would tell me. That way I wouldn't have to check over and over. Another Scott story. Hey, we've got Ivan on the phone. Give me just 1 second here. Ivan, do you want to be on? Okay, give me a second here. I have to link up the phone here. Ivan, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Awesome. What are you thinking, man?
Loud and clear. I was just gonna mention about this catalog. So it's funny that the site crashed. Like that's what prisoners always complain about as it happens. But no, it's an entire catalog. It's like 30 to 50 pages long. It varies every month. It's like a monthly issue that comes out in the prison. And of course, like every joint has its own specific, like what's allowed, what's not, right? Mm-hmm. But for the most part, it is pretty across the board. And like the orange jumpsuit you see prisoners in, that's all they have to wear. That's what they have to wear whenever they're in like official capacity. But when they're in their cell or in the yard or on the block, they're all wearing like sweats and all that kind of stuff that they buy off this catalog. But
so they got like Gucci sweats and
no. It's like the
Tommy
lamest.
Hilfiger.
It's like the lamest, like the most basic like Air Monarch Nike dad grilling shoes, you know. But that's pretty much what it is. Yeah, but they got sweats and they got all that basic accoutrement that you can buy, and that's in addition to like the commissary food thing. But so you can buy everything from, I guess you can buy everything from radios. They have like 3 or 4 different kinds, TVs, but they're all clear. And yeah, some prisons allow iPads, but they're all set up to not connect to the internet, where you have to actually, the prison has its own like song marketplace that you buy music from at $1.50 a song. And it's set up like, yeah.
Wow. I'm actually, you guys will never guess, but I'm looking at this and I'm thinking there's an opportunity here. How do I get my Recovery Addict merchandise in the JL Marcus catalog so that we can have inmates going around wearing a Recovery Addict shirt or hoodie in your case, Ivan?
That logo you have would be killer. It's got so many different elements. You'd have certain gangs like trying to like attribute, trying to take advantage of.
We'd have an RA gang in prison. Oh man.
Well, just remember that your clientele are the most condemned people on the planet.
Oh man, Ivan, thanks for pointing this website out to me. I can't wait for the website to be up so I can take a look at it. But
yeah, it's wild, and so you can have. Like I said, the inmates can order from their own canteen commissary money, which I'm sure Alex is going to have, more money on his books than anybody in the place. That's one way that you start buying favor. He's going to have favor as it is. People are saying, oh, he killed a kid or he killed his wife. They don't care about that. His kid was an adult. He didn't kill a minor. He didn't rape him. You know what I mean? He's going to be just fine as far as people looking out for him. He's rich, or so to speak, rich. He's a lawyer. Every inmate in that block is going to be asking him for legal help. That's going to they always say everybody needs a hustle when you're inside. Wow. Everybody needs a hustle, no matter what it is. Well, he's got a hustle. He is one of the best lawyers in the state of South Carolina before this all happened. Okay? So he's going to be just fine. And he's old enough to where he doesn't have to click up, meaning he doesn't have to join a gang. So, there's a rule, basically. If you're over 50, you don't have to click up. That's like a known rule. Okay, you don't have to join a gang. You're kind of left alone because what good are you? Like, what good's a 55-year-old going to do in a fight or a brawl? You know what I mean? Like, so basically, if you're over,
this is more information than I thought we'd ever get on the channel.
Well, there you go. Well, yeah. So, like, basically, he's going to have it. So all these, I just kind of wanted to debunk all these people who are like, oh, wait till he gets to prison. It's going to be so bad, because I've seen some of that floating around YouTube. That's not going to be how it is. It's going to be the opposite. Now, it's not going to be like the life he had, but he's going to realize, if he hasn't already, that he's going to have it much different than every other inmate in there, because he has a hustle off the bat, meaning he has legal ability, everybody in there who's filing an appeal is going to be going to him. Why wouldn't they?
Is he going to be like
better than all the lawyers.
an undercover
Yeah.
lawyer? I mean, I guess he can't legally practice, right? He can't actually
But
represent people.
But you can file your own motions from prison, so he can write those up for every inmate in his block. He's better than every lawyer those inmates have.
Yeah. That's interesting. Ivan, thank you so much for the inside scoop on
You
that.
bet.
Good to
I'll
have
let
you.
you fly.
Catch you later. Bye. Appreciate Ivan. Calling in on the burner phone, as everybody can. It's weird. The burner phone said, "How is the call quality?" I said, "Good." Yes, he didn't lose his license, but he's sort of going to work on the side, right? He's gonna write up the paper. It's like getting your friend to write your homework assignment. Okay, so he's gonna do the homework for him so they can write it up and then turn it in as their own appeal. You know, they file it themselves. Interesting. I hadn't thought about that. All right, so we're waiting for the judge. We saw briefly the judge is back. I'm not sure why we've got a little bit more delay here as this stretches on just a little bit. What if Alex has ever sold his pink orange shoes? Hey, look who's calling now.
Call from Golden Mom.
Golden Mom, how are you doing? This is Recovery Addicts.
Hey, how are you?
Doing great. What are you thinking about this trial today?
Well, I definitely, I don't know. I just think it's every day it's just spicy.
It is.
You know?
Why is it so spicy? I like the spiciness, though. It keeps me awake.
Oh, yeah, me too. Because it's like, you could tell that, like, Sadie, like, she didn't want nothing to do with answering the defense's questions.
Yeah.
And I feel like her friend was that same way, you know?
Yep. You're getting waves on the chat from Not a Drama Llama, by the way.
Oh. I just had a question for Ivan because I've seen this a lot, like on like TikTok and even like YouTube, where the inmates in South Carolina jails are like FaceTiming people. Can you buy a phone with FaceTime in this catalog? That was my only question.
Wow, they must be using some sort of like an iPad or something for that.
They must be, because like I don't know, like I didn't know, like I mean, I know you can do like, you know, when you like if you can't physically see somebody like in visitation, but like these inmates are like in their cells sitting on their bed, and because it's like a guy that just got out of serving 10 years in the exact same place that Murdaugh went. And I was just curious if Ivan knew, like, can you get an iPad in this catalog or like a...
Ivan says those are smuggled cell phones by guards for inmates.
Cool.
Would you come down, please?
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Looks like the judge is coming back here. That's an interesting question. I've seen...
No, I was just curious because I was just like, how are these people FaceTiming and talking to this person on the outside world about what Alex Murdaugh is going through, and you know, people are waiting on him. Like Ivan was saying, this guy was saying the same thing. Like people are waiting on him to file their appeals and help them with their court cases and stuff. Like, you know. So I was just curious how they got those phones in. But that makes sense.
We'll have to have Alex Murdaugh call in on the next one if he's got.
All right, well, I'll get you in the chat.
Thanks, Golden Mom. Appreciate you. Catch you later.
All right, bye.
Bye. Awesome. If you guys ever need to get a hold of me, honestly, I do give out a phone number to reach me, and you can find it anytime. I call it the burner phone number because if I need to, I can get rid of that number in a moment's notice. You know. No worries. But the burner phone number right now has not changed since I went live. You can find the burner phone number at any time by typing !burner in chat, like Samantha Terry just did, and it pops up. That is the burner phone that does reach me. Obviously, when we're live, when there's a break, I don't want to take calls during the testimony because we're all here to listen to that. We like the court. We like what's going on in court. That's why we're here watching. But during breaks and stuff like that, I'd love to get questions and things like that. If for some reason I've done anything to offend somebody and you know you've got a question or you know a bone to pick with me or something, reach out to me on the burner phone. I promise I'm not as scary in real life as I look on YouTube. But, Sean Orton, is that what I heard? Collect a call from Alec in prison. I'm going to take this one off of live. Hello. It hung up. I missed it. Somebody was calling. Okay. Maybe it was Alec from the South Carolina prison. So we've got a new witness coming to the stand here.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please be seated.
Could you please state your name for the record and spell it?
Sean Morton, SHAUN, MORTON,
And how are you currently employed?
as a forensic examiner for the City of Kenosha Police Department.
And how long in general have you been a police officer?
About 21 years.
And how long have you been the forensic examiner for the police department?
Doing this for just over 10.
And what does a forensic examiner do?
We examine cell phones, computers, tablets, pretty much anything digital evidence-wise.
And when you examine it, do you also download it and put it into a form that can be turned over to parties to review?
Yes.
And as part of your tasks, do you
Just
often
passed him a
review
note. Do you guys see that?
those things that you're downloading and looking through?
Yes.
What just happened?
So, to orient you to this case, were you brought in to do downloads of different devices concerning the disappearance of Mr. Gutierrez Jr. in May of 2020?
Yes, I was.
And was one of those devices that you were asked to download and look through an MSI laptop recovered at Mr. Zachariah Anderson's home?
Yes.
And walk me through how a download of a laptop such as this happens from your perspective.
So a detective would request it to be examined. At that point, we would receive it. The hard drive would be removed from the computer. We then create what's called a forensic image of it, which is basically an exact copy of the hard drive. Then that's the data that we work with and examine.
And
Lots
is that what
of
you did
tie
in this
crimes
case?
committed in
Yes.
this court.
And
There's another one right
initially,
in front
did
of
you
us.
just do a full download of it and turn it back over to detectives?
It was a very brief, we did a download. I did a very brief overview, tagged a few items that I thought could be of interest to them. Computer contains a lot of data and a lot of information, so I try to tag things that could be relevant.
And were you asked at approximately May 26th of 2020 to do a more in-depth review of that laptop by detectives?
Yes, I was.
And did you perform that more in-depth exam on that laptop?
Yes, I did.
And prior to doing that examination, what, if anything, did you know about the circumstances of this case to orient you in what you could potentially be looking for on such a large computer?
At that point, I knew Rosalio Gutierrez was missing, and somehow Zachariah Anderson had been developed as a possible suspect, and I was now examining his laptop for any evidence of either Rosalio on the computer or anything that could be relevant to the case.
So you, at this point, didn't know anything specific about Mr. Anderson other than he was developed as a suspect and this is his computer?
Correct.
So when you start looking at the download of this MSI laptop, what is a folder or anything that jumps out to you as where you potentially find evidence that you think is relevant?
Just generally in a laptop exam, I'd start at the desktop. On the desktop, there was a folder that was created labeled Kids. I opened that up and actually found another folder inside that titled Rosalio Gutierrez Jr.
And you had indicated that was a name you were looking for given the context of this
No
case?
one will ever look in the Kids folder.
And did you then go into the Rosalio Gutierrez Jr. folder to do further investigation into that?
Yes, I did.
And what, if anything, did you locate inside the Rosalio Gutierrez Jr. folder on this laptop?
There were several pictures and screenshots, appeared to be from Facebook and other websites.
I'm going to approach you first with what's been marked as State's Exhibit 6. Can you tell me in general what this appears to be in regards to the MSI laptop download?
So this would be a section of the report that I would generate. These are the items that I tagged as potential evidence, the title of them, what they are, when they were created on the computer, and where they reside.
And for these specific items, are these all JPEGs?
Yes, they are.
And so would that have been some of the pictures located in that Rosalio Gutierrez folder?
Yes.
Now I'm going to zoom in here. Do you see on the top there that there's essentially 3 categories: created, accessed, and modified?
Yes.
And so in looking at these different JPEG files, they all have slightly different times of creation. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
All roughly April 25th of 2020, somewhere in the 3:30 a.m. range. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Now, given the fact that these all have different times of creation, what can you say regarding the manner in which these photographs were placed onto this computer?
So each one was individually saved and placed at the time indicated, placed in this folder at the time indicated on the computer.
So each of these different, and I believe there are 24 items between the 2 pages, would have had to be individually placed?
Due to the time differences, yes.
Okay, so if they had all been, select all, paste all, would we expect to see then the same time for each of those in the creation window?
Yeah, within a few seconds of each other.
So I'm now going to hand you directly States Exhibits 7 through 30. Can you page through that set of documents and tell me if you recognize them as something you found on that laptop?
Wow.
They do appear to be the images that were inside the Rosalio Gutierrez Jr. folder.
The jury can see this as he flips through. They can see that top picture. Paging through is very noisy, especially when you're doing it on top of the microphone. There are 2 microphones right there at that desk, and I think he was right on top.
In addition to those photographs in this Rosalio Gutierrez Jr. folder, did you also find some things that were clearly from Facebook?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as States Exhibit 34 and 36. Can you tell me what those are?
There are screenshots from Rosalio Gutierrez Jr. Facebook page.
Does that include, when you say screenshot, what does that mean in your world?
Somebody either uses a tool to take a picture of something that's on the screen, like a snippet tool.
And those were located in that same Rosalio Gutierrez Jr. file?
Yes, they were.
Judge, I would ask for permission to publish these to the jurors because of the minor. There are definitely some pictures with minors in them. I don't want to put them up on the screen, but can I pass them around to the jurors?
Is there objection?
No.
Go ahead.
Interesting.
This is just exhibits 7 through 30?
7 through 30, and then the Facebook ones he just testified to. 30.
Rosalio's children are probably in those Facebook pictures, which is why they're not showing them.
34 and 36.
Regina, I do think that the judges are quirky. You realize that by the time they get to be appointed a judge, they have done a lot of time in the system generally. As far as they've seen a lot, they've been a prosecutor, probably maybe a defendant, or a prosecuting attorney, or a defense attorney. They've had a lot of courtroom experience, and they know what they like and what they don't like. They've probably practiced in front of a lot of different judges. I'm still getting help with authenticity. Thank you. And so there are things they like and don't like. And by the time they get their own courtroom, they are sort of the king on the throne of their own courtroom. They have quite a bit of power within those walls. And so yeah, their quirks show up. And you get people like Judge Newman, who says, I pick the foreman in these courts. And you get people like here, where you get situations where you're like, I don't allow notes, or I do allow notes. Sometimes that's a state rule. You might have, I prefer to have people stand when they address, when they make arguments, and other times they're required to be seated. But the quirks do show up a little bit. This judge, one of the quirks is he keeps his phone on and uses it constantly through trial with the sound effects. I think the daughter will be the last state witness for the max sympathy effect. They must think that it's going to be a home run, NEMS. Obviously, they want to close out their portion of the testimony with a bang. And so it must be incredible. Whose Facebook page are they showing? These are screenshots of Leo's Facebook page that they found on ZA's computer, is my understanding. The jury's passing the pictures around right now. There's also a power trip component with the judges. Yes, they've been pushed around by judges, and now it's their turn to push people around a little bit. It's a little bit of bully mentality. Doro and Newman are my favorites, says Mimi. Love Judge Newman, says Diane. Some judges let the jury ask questions. I've seen that once, if they had any questions. Judges are just normal people, hence all judges, lawyers, witnesses, and defendants have their quirks. Let's see. Wonder if the judge on phone could be an appeal issue. I don't think it is, Mary Beth, or else we would see a lot of defendants convicted out of this judge's courtroom that would have had an appeal granted because of it. Judges are very aware of when a decision they made is appealed. It's like getting a veto on your work, right? It's saying what happened in your court was overturned because of something you did. So imagine get your name written up on the board in like first grade, the first day of elementary school. It's devastating, right? Judges don't like it, and so they are. It's not that their ego needs to be protected. It's so delicate, but at the same time, they don't want to be overturned by an appellate's court, and so they try to operate within the rules that they have as best as possible, so that everything they do has the rubber stamp of approval by the appeal court saying denied on those appeals. That's what they're shooting for. But occasionally you get cases where the judge will say, I don't have anything to go on. I don't have any case law from appellate court's decisions before in this area. This seems to be a new area, so I'm just going to rule the best I can. And sometimes I'm not sure what the judge is reading. I don't know. Anyway, I lost my train of thought. Also, the parties would have to raise the trial judge's phone as an issue at trial to preserve an error for appeal. They would give the judge an opportunity to cure. Right, and no party has done that yet.
In addition to those photographs that I've just shown you and now the jury, were there
I'd like to see
any
it come
other
from a
things
witness.
found in that Rosalio Gutierrez Jr. folder that you believed were of note?
I found a screenshot of a page from the Department of Wisconsin Financial Institutions, I believe, and included Rosalio's name and address.
Approaching you with what's been marked as States Exhibit 32 and 33. Can you tell me what these appear to be?
The headphones they're wearing are just amplification systems. It's hard to hear in that courtroom.
Those screenshots.
So they
From the
can
Wisconsin
hear
Department
what we
of
hear.
Financial Institutions. Contains corporate records for North Star Renovations, LLC. With the registered agent being Rosalio Gutierrez Jr. Includes his address.
And when you say screenshots, what does that mean in your world?
Again, somebody either used the screenshot function through Windows or used the snippet program to capture something that was on the screen.
What is a screenshot function on Windows?
You can press function screenshot and then it will
This is high tech.
save what's on the screen and then you can paste it to a Word document.
On a Mac, that would be Command Shift 3 to do the same thing.
The jury, so States Exhibit 33, was that one of those screenshots you just identified?
Yes.
And you indicated that registered agent office was Rosalio Gutierrez Jr. with 3709 15th Street 1B, Kenosha, Wisconsin 53144 as the address?
Normally,
Yes.
I'd be opposed to showing this on my channel, even though it's shown in court. But this was the victim's address,
Just
and
another
he's
angle of
dead
that
now. So
zoomed in closer.
we're not
Yes.
doxing him.
But were those two separate screenshots that were located in this file folder?
Yes, they were.
Now,
See, Ivan,
as
have a
part of
great
this
day.
investigation, were you made aware that that was Mr. Gutierrez Jr.'s actual address at the time of May 17th of 2020?
I knew there was a location of that building. I didn't know the exact address of the apartment, but
And do these appear to be true and accurate copies of what you recovered from that Rosalio Gutierrez file when you downloaded and reviewed the computer download?
yes, they are.
think they broke up in 2019.
Those documents in that file, was there anything else of note that you located in that file regarding the investigation into this case?
Located several other screenshots that appeared to be from a Find My Device phone that Androids have.
And explain for the jury what Find My Device for Android phones is in your world.
So if you own an Android phone like a Samsung or Motorola, when you log into your Google account that's attached to your phone, let's say you lose your phone, you can go to a computer, log into Google, go to the Find My Device page, and any phone that's logged into the same account will show up where it's located at. So it lets you track where your phone is, or if you lose it, locate it.
And did you find any evidence on the MSI laptop that Find My Phone or the Google My Account Find Your Phone webpage had been visited by this computer?
Yes, it was actually bookmarked or saved as a bookmark on the computer.
And do you recall when that occurred?
The end of April 2020.
Now, you indicated that there were a couple of different, these more screenshots like we've been talking about.
Yes.
I'm going to approach with what's been marked as States Exhibit 3, 4, and 5. Tell me what these appear to be to you.
Regina, everyone's welcome. You don't have to be an addict. My own experience with addiction is
screenshots
different
from the Find My Device
than what people might guess.
Webpage.
And is that consistent with
I was
what
addicted
the webpage looks like
to
in your
video
training
games,
and
to
experience
gaming.
doing forensic downloads?
Yes.
Now, these screenshots, did they have specific names that corresponded to a date and time for each individual image?
So we had used the snippet program to create those, and that program generally just names of the date and time that it was taken.
Okay, we talked about screenshotting. What is the snippet program?
It's another program built into Windows that allows you to capture part of a screen.
And in your training experience, when you capture something using the snippet program, it gives you the date and time that you've captured it?
Yeah, it titles it with the date and time.
So this first one was titled 5_8_2020_2054. So in your world, what does that mean regarding when this first screenshot was
this is getting to me.
snippet or whatever the program is called?
We're in the same world.
That would tell me it was taken on May 8th, 2020 at 8:54 p.m.
And in general, what is this location that was on this first snippet from Find My Device on May 8th at roughly 8:54 p.m.?
That was determined it was somewhere in Oak Creek, just off the interstate.
State has about a day and a half to 2 days of more testimony before they arrest. So Thursday sometime.
5_8_2020 and _2116. So in your snippet program mastery, what time, date, and time would this have been captured on this MSI laptop?
It had been the same date at 9:16, I believe you said, p.m.
And in terms of this case, what is this a general picture of, if you know?
Looks like it's locating a device that's on the north side of Kenosha.
And when you say locating a device, is that because there's some sort of specific pin that you're focusing in on this picture?
Yeah, so the Find My Device icon on a phone looks pretty much identical to that icon you see towards the top there in green.
Would you point that out just so the jury knows exactly what we're looking at?
Right here.
So then showing you States Exhibit 5, which was titled on this computer 5_8_2020_2117. In your experience, would that mean it's 9:17 p.m. on that same day we've just talked about?
Correct.
And what is this, if you know, in terms of location in Kenosha, zoomed in on?
It's about the 3700 block of 15th apartment building in there. It's supposed to be 15th here. These are the apartment buildings in their parking lot.
Katie, I've been in recovery
And
since
Mr. Gutierrez's
shortly after the
apartment
Burning
was
Crusade update on
3709
World of
15th
Warcraft.
Street?
Correct.
That tells you. I haven't heard the number of pictures yet. I think there were quite a few because he thumbed through them for a while. I don't think the defense is going to be able to get around the fact that that Zach was very interested in Sadie's behavior after they broke up. This is pretty damning when it comes to that.
Exhibit 31. Can you tell me what this is in relation to your review of the MSI laptop?
There's a picture of a GPS tracking device I found downloaded.
And where did you find this downloaded on that laptop, if you can recall?
It would have been in that Kids or Rosalio Gutierrez folder.
And why was this something you flagged as important in this investigation?
After noticing the tracking of the phone and a GPS tracker, it seemed relevant.
So I'm just showing State's Exhibit 31. Obviously, did you know anything about this tracker or any sort of tracking program regarding this?
No.
So you just found this picture in that file?
Yes.
Was the worst. King's Quest was the last game I installed with
In addition to the things we've talked about, did you find any recordings of any kind that you thought were relevant to your investigation?
There were several video and audio recordings in that folder.
When you say several, how many would you estimate that you noticed in that file folder?
About 3 dozen.
And
that's
in
not
terms
something I've
of
ever
the
done, Adam.
contents of them, did you listen to all of them in full?
No.
And why is that?
Determined there's about 10 or more hours worth of recordings.
Now, did you listen to selective pieces of them to try to figure out what they were recordings of?
Yes.
And in general, in your review of these approximately 3 dozen recordings, what were you able to ascertain was, in general, the contents on them?
Generally, it sounded like a man and woman arguing, mainly over children.
And in your review, were there any that appeared to be actually recorded by children?
Object. Speculation.
Sustained.
I would ask about third party without putting the children thing. I think you could word that in a way where you could get the answer without the speculation. They're discussing how to proceed on this line of question. I think they thought they would get that answer there. Now they have to find a way around it to proceed. Corey Fleming and Russell Lafayette were both convicted of participating in the Murdaugh financial crimes. Lafayette's request for a new trial was just denied yesterday. Whoa, she objected. The witness knew the objection was coming. The witness has testified in court before. This is not his first rodeo. So he knows that when he could probably see the lawyer, posturing up, so to speak, getting ready to talk in the mic type thing. Love to see what's happening in the courtroom. Tony Fortune admits to stalking this channel. Guilty as charged. Lafitte. Did I say Lafayette? That was like a... Oh, man. Why is Lafayette stuck in my head? That's like a historical figure. The bank guy. Yeah, Lafitte was convicted before Alex Murdaugh's trial started. Look at these binders on the desk here. Some big fat binders. Like the color-coded tabs.
To admit states 3 through 35.
Objection?
I'd ask that they, no objections to 3, 4, and 5, and 7. The only objection I have is to Exhibit 31, subject to recross, or to cross.
All right, you can reoffer it at the completion of the cross.
Yeah, I don't mind if the other ones are admitted, though, Judge.
They'll be received.
No other questions for the witness.
Cross-examine.
Thank you. Officer Morton, as it related to Exhibit 31, which I'll show you.
We can't hear you.
You said you found that when doing a review of the MSI laptop. Was that you found that when you were doing a manual review of the laptop, or after you did the download and you reviewed the download?
It was during the download review.
So you're looking at your report, or the actual laptop?
So we process the image we get from the laptop with a program, and then that breaks out pictures and messages and certain artifacts. So I'm using a program to examine the image of the hard drive.
And is that program the program that the parties would have access to? Which is like the, it's like a link.
I'm sorry, the parties?
Like
She
when
says,
you
would we
do the
have access
download,
to this?
you put it on a disk or do something so that it's accessible to other people for discovery.
Yeah. So that would be the program I create the report with.
Okay.
And that was gets sent to the detectives. And
Okay. So in your report, where is that item located?
it'd be in the images section of the report.
Okay. And if I were to give you your report,
He probably left it out.
and the report is a link, correct?
I believe the report in this one is a HTML file,
Okay.
which contains links.
You have to access it through the internet.
Through a browser.
You have to access it using a web browser. It's not online. But
Okay. So if I were to give you your report for the MSI laptop, would you be able to find that image so you could be definitive whether it's in that report?
eventually, computers contain hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of images that are going to be in there. I mean, eventually, yes, I would find it. I can't tell you how long that's going to take.
Well, I'll give you my computer.
Free iPad or Apple MacBook for all witnesses today only in this court. If I were the witness, I would insist on keeping it.
So at first, feel free to do with my computer as you wish. Yours for the time being.
Bam, 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 bam. It's like, I hate Apple.
Can you
She's very brave.
let the jury know whether what you're looking at right now is in fact, you don't have to show them, but that is the report?
Yes.
Go. Yeah, I'd go straight to browser history. I'd start running a report on this computer. It looks like you Google search for how to get a guilty murderer free. Oh, man. This better be I do wonder what he's searching. Install free RAM. Oh my goodness. Run the report, lock it up for the rest of the afternoon. F-disk, format the disk. That's the Windows command, but yeah, disk utility on a Mac.
Sorry, your report doesn't seem to be working.
He's logging into World of Warcraft right now. Download money here.
Is there an easier way to access the report?
No, not at. So at this time, this is how we generated reports in what's called HTML files. So they're extremely large and they run through a web browser.
HTML is hypertext markup language.
Yours seems to be stuck on this page.
You need to refresh it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking.
It's like now it looks like you're watching.
It says it can't find the file anymore.
Can't find the what?
It can't find the report file.
Did he delete it?
Just have them take the...
Looks like the jury's going to get a break. Let's see here. This is funny. Angry Birds, he messed it up. Well, now she's going to look for it. She's like, oh, it was here a minute ago, but you told him to do whatever he wanted with the computer. And apparently what he wanted to do was delete his file off your computer. And that might have been what happened. I think he may have broken it. She's trying to discredit him. I think, Shelley, she's found a flaw in his report. There's one of the one item she objected to. I think it was number 32. The image was not possibly included in the report or was not included the same way the other items were. And so she's saying, prove it. Show me in your report where this was provided. And it's not there.
Is it on the drive?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It was on an external drive and she didn't bring the drive up. That's funny. So now we have a USB-C to USB adapter, or USB-C to USB-A adapter, an external hard drive. Watch the battery go dead. This is funny. What is he looking for? He's looking for his report, and she's asked him to find, I think it was Exhibit 32 or picture number 32 from his report, in his report. He says there could be millions of pictures in there, which doesn't make sense because I think his report is not going to contain all million pictures. You know, every graphic file that a computer has on it. He emptied her bank account, had a ransom attack at work, awful experience. Oh my goodness, ransomware is awful. Yeah, she's clearly chasing the flaw. It's just the one thing she's hunting down. But this is just to discredit. This may go, if you think this through, if it's not in his report and it wasn't provided and the defense did not have access to it and it wasn't provided to the defense, this may be like she's trying to like backdoor elbow the prosecution for a discovery violation or something like that. She may also be getting at an angle saying that you had access to all this information, but you didn't provide any of the exculpatory information that would have helped my client. You only included the stuff that makes him look bad. So it can go bad. We'll see where this goes. I think the judge is not going to want this to go on much further. He might say, look, you guys continue. We're going to let the jury go for the day, and you guys figure this out. He's installing a virus. Maybe he's got a Bitcoin miner operation set up on there.
I'm sorry, without being able to filter this, this could seriously take hours. I mean, I can scroll, yeah. Seems like some of the pictures are missing. To file 3,000, it looks like. I mean,
defense.
Like I said, there's usually hundreds of thousands of pictures on a computer.
He's playing Minecraft. I think he's looking for a picture, a specific picture. I don't know what the exhibit was, what number 32 was.
You mind if I go into the folder where this report's stored?
Do what you want.
If you could say which folder that is.
MSI 20.
Now he's starting to explore the computer a little bit. What he's doing, instead of doing a search on everything on the computer, he's trying to find where the report is and then search inside the report, which will be much smaller. And I'm surprised he didn't start doing that, quite honestly. He is like a forensic examiner, but he uses a tool. He uses a cheat tool, really. He plugs in the computer to his downloader. It makes an image of the hard drive. So it basically takes a picture of everything that's on the hard drive, and it just makes a copy that they can then play with and manipulate without affecting the original hard drive. And it will say, okay, I'm going to grab all the images that are on the hard drive and I'm going to put them over here, and all the text files and put them here, and all the saved screenshots and put them here. You know, it can sort like that. And so he's made a report. She thinks, look at how she's sitting. She thinks she's got him. She knows he's not going to find this document. Anyway, so he normally uses this tool to do it, and now he has to do it manually, which part of this is just showing he's not very good at what he's doing, because he depends on a tool to get his work done. But I think it's a game. Accept all friend requests, turn on airdrop. Huggy, I'm not focusing on the previous trials this judge has been involved with. So I'm not sure. Let's see.
Can I have a sidebar, Judge? Necessary.
She's asking for a sidebar.
You're saying you don't see that image in this report?
The report files don't seem to be complete. So
Okay.
the actual main page of the report's there, but all the supporting folders that would contain the image aren't in here.
Okay. Judge, can we have a sidebar, please?
This is a discovery violation. The judge pretty much has to grant this. Because she's going to make an objection in the presence of the jury here in just a little bit. It's called the Brady violation. I'm not familiar with that. I thought Brady was more federal, had to do with funding of federal funding used for different purposes. I'd have to brush up on it. What is this discovery violation? Ed, discovery has to do with when the state or prosecution has evidence that they're going to use against the defendant, or they have evidence that the defense could use to look better, basically, in their own defense, they have to turn it over to the defense. She's showing that this report did not have information that the state had information to. I think that's where she's getting at. So we've got a sidebar here as they discuss this a little bit. We'll see what, could this be a mistrial? Possibly. I doubt it. I doubt it's going that way. He's laughing because he thinks it's sort of funny. I doubt mistrial at this point. Oh, no. No. Don't do it. No. Huggy, the only thing I think that's consistent is the quirkiness of the judge, his propensity to pontificate on various matters.
All right, what's up?
Thank you, Judge. So
He's
the
mad.
report that basically Exhibit 31 is a screenshot of a tracker that the state and the witness have purported and testified to that was in the folder titled Rosalio, and that photo was in the report. I had never seen that photo before, not included in the report that I have. I had a hard drive from the state, which is here, that contained all of the downloads of the devices in this case. With this witness, I pulled up that report. The witness went through it and just testified that it's not a complete report. this photo cannot be located, the contents of that folder cannot be located in this report that I had. So obviously the defense has an issue now where we are not given a full report. That information I've never had before. I had asked the state where that was located because I couldn't find it prior to today's date. I thought I'd be able to clear things up with this officer, or detective, pardon me. And clearly I can't because the defense was never given the full report. So I'd be asking for the full report to be able to go through it, or alternatively, strike all this testimony.
I think counsel will acknowledge that on Officer Morton's report, page 2 of 3 is where I'm referring. I'm looking at paragraph 4, it's full paragraph 4 of Officer Morton's report. He says on April 24th, 2020 at 15:07, a picture of the Rewire Security TK102 Nano GPS tracker, which is the document that we just described, was downloaded to the folder. Also collected in this case was a mini GPS tracking device, goes on to say. So he has indicated in his report, which is dated May 27th, 2020, that this picture was downloaded to the file. So counsel certainly is on notice that a picture of a Rewire Security TK Nano was downloaded and is part of Officer Morton's report. It is the primary report in this case. I don't know if Officer Morton, who said it might take hours, is able to confidently indicate at this stage, I guess we could ask him, he's on the stand, that in fact he has done a thorough enough look at this that he knows for sure that this document is not in the copy that we have and that the defense has. But I suggest that we either ask him further or we make sure he's had enough time to be sure that the record made, and I have no I'm not casting aspersions. If the defense attorney is saying so far the record indicates that it's not included, I don't know if Officer Morton has done a thorough enough search when he previously testified it would take hours possibly to find this picture, whether he has done enough that he is confident that it is not included.
If I may briefly respond, there's a difference between reports that we're talking about. The report the state just referenced was Detective Morton's written report about what he did in this case. That report's not really clear where this alleged photo was accessible from. The report says that he reviewed the folders and saw this picture in there, but the actual report that I'm talking about is the forensic download report created by the detective that has all the files. That report that Attorney Gravely mentioned doesn't have the files. I think the detective's testimony right now was extremely clear that the report that I have that's supposed to contain all the files is not complete. I knew about this written report. I also told the state before today's date and again that I don't know where this picture is located because I can't find it anywhere. And so even if I'm on notice, that doesn't mean that I have the obligation to ensure that I have a complete and full accurate report. I believe the state's Wachowski, which was just decided by the Supreme Court, that talked about when it's dealing with exculpatory evidence, the defense has absolutely zero burden to seek out that information. So this is an issue. It's come up. We do not have a full report. I'd be asking for the full report to be given to me to be able to review it so that I can then question effectively on this issue of where that picture is located, when it was taken, and I can confirm that and be able to cross-examine on it. And if the state and the court's not willing to give the defense time to obtain what should have been given to them a long time ago, then I'd be asking that the testimony pertaining to Exhibit 31 be struck and not considered.
Well, when the detective stated it could take hours, made reference to thousands of photographs. It certainly was an expectation that we'd end up in a point like where we're at now.
It's a picture of the little pager tracker device. That's all it is.
This was the day we were going to be done with the case.
We might be done with it today.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, it was.
Originally.
Friday. We only anticipated 2 weeks.
If you'd asked us, we thought last Friday.
Yeah, well, anyway. So, my initial reaction, is kind of biblical. The story about a woman who has 100 coins and loses one, and she puts everything else aside, and she looks
sweeps
until
the whole house until she finds it.
the one coin. That's usually my reaction when I've lost something of value, or better yet, better stated, when I have misplaced or can't locate something of value. It'll probably pop up. And being in the computer age, this apparently is just a mirror image of something which exists elsewhere now and is also often traceable as to where it's been. So I'm not going to panic right now. But we're going to move on to something else, and we can come back to this. And poor Detective Morton is going to have to do like the widow and put aside everything else while you look for the coin.
I can do that.
All right.
Okay, so she can't do cross
guess,
now.
But from your review of the file that I had, it doesn't include the files that you were looking for.
Right, so normally so we really don't generate reports like that anymore because it comes in so many different parts, which is editable. I mean, you could delete a folder and all of a sudden all your images are gone.
That's probably what
the
happened.
folder I was looking for that contains those images wasn't in. I didn't find it when I took a brief look through there.
By the way, now for the bad news. And this is routinely discussed and was discussed a couple of judges' meetings ago about people who bring in flash drives, especially in like small claims cases, and they want the judge to put it in and look at their evidence. And I guess on several occasions, some of my colleagues, not me of course, have corrupted the whole system with all kinds of gremlins that come in.
Gremlins.
Under those circumstances. So my resolution has been to tell people, well, how did you look at it? And they tell me I played it on my computer. And I said, well, bring your computer here and we'll play it on your computer here, but then I have to keep your computer.
That's what I said. They need to keep the computer.
Yes. Yeah. No, I'm not looking to introduce the file. I was simply just trying.
Well, but you're trying to introduce its absence.
Well, I mean, people can come look at my folder.
You don't really want that. You don't really want that.
I don't have anything dangerous on there. I promise you, Judge. But
what? You don't have anything what?
Dangerous.
Well, I look. The bottom. I'm an optimist. I'm expecting this will have a happy resolution, and so detective can work on it, and I'm, as I've demonstrated in the past, On nationwide television. I don't know much about computers. But,
oh my goodness.
You provided the defense. She referred to it as a...
It's like a huge...
It looked like a huge...
It's like a terabyte.
Yeah, big... a terabyte...
it's a hard drive. External hard drive, really. External hard drive.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I assume that there's a migratory path from the source to that, and so that perhaps by examination of the source from which that was created, we can determine whether or not it ever went onto that.
Right, so that would have come from our digital server. So we store all of our
Over
digital
the KPD or joint services?
Yes.
I could always go there too after court today. I don't know what your availability is.
I mean, we could
look on the file on the server.
But the point is, there's probably some historical information available as to whether that material was ever provided to the defense.
The judge wants the paper trail.
So normally we would get a discovery request from evidence.
This is an order. The
judge is. I don't recall how this one.
Judge can order this.
So normally, defense attorney would submit a discovery request. Joint services would then give that to us, and any files we had on that case, we would send to the defense attorney.
I think what the judge is saying
Yeah.
is that there's a way to analyze the external hard drive to determine whether there was what was put on here.
Either
when
that or
things
the
were
source of
correct.
what went on there.
I can compare it to what I have. Whether something was removed after I put it on there, I wouldn't be able to determine that.
Yeah, you can.
But that is the issue.
They turned down the volume because the counsel was talking directly to each other.
The better way is that they can't be altered.
I can come with you and look at your server. Yeah, she'd love to get access directly to the server. If it's not on the server.
Have I still got the jury in the library?
Yes.
People. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to stop for the day, tomorrow we'll be ready with next witness. And
Tomorrow will be ready, you said?
You ready to start with another witness?
Yep.
Unless this matter has been resolved by then. And we'll just act like nothing happened until we have to answer for all of this. And so we don't have to waste the jurors' time any more than we already do.
Understood.
Okay, any questions?
No.
All right, sorry if you don't get any sleep. Okay.
One small matter, Judge.
Oh, yeah. But we can do that after the jury comes back in. Let's do that. We just have something, but we can bring the jury in and then discuss it afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I see that short matters have now become small matters, not brief. Come back in.
Crazy. Matthew Harris recently did a giveaway of can koozies, and apparently the first one has arrived. That's awesome. Awesome to everybody who signed up and got one of those. Let's see. Is the jury probably wondering what the heck? Yes. They've walked around this library looking at the judge's baseball pictures and books and things like that so many times. Brandi says, Judge Schroeder reminds me of that uncle your parents leave in charge while they're gone who's trying to resolve a fight with you and your brother, but he really doesn't want to deal with it. Yeah, Brandi, 100%. This judge does not like handling anything before he absolutely has to. And we saw the same thing in Judge Newman as well. Wait till they get to the bridge before they cross it type thing. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, I think is the saying. But having a good laugh with the jury. Hey, nothing's wrong. We're not borderline mistrial here. It's all good. Just go ahead and take the rest of the day off. We'll start again in the morning. Waiting for the audio guy to wake up.
Okay,
there we go.
Well, anyway, I think it's time to stop for today. And we'll start again at 9 tomorrow morning. Is that a problem for anybody?
That's 10 o'clock Eastern.
Can you give the jury hope and let them know the state probably only has 2 more witnesses after this, so that they at least. So at least they.
But she's tapping you while you're
three,
saying this.
three,
so
she says.
Oh, 3. Oh, did somebody was sick today? Yep, there was a sick individual.
Well,
Yep.
anyway, we are moving along, and well, I'll leave it at that. We've got a little bit. We have to finish up here, and in the meantime, please don't talk about the case. Read, watch, or listen to any account of the trial. Don't talk to family members, friends, members of your household, other jurors.
This admonition he gives
Any
the jury
question?
is important enough. He should have a set saying that he reads. So the jurors can't say, hey, you never told me not to do that. But still good trials. You don't know what's going to happen next. Yes. I want to hear what this final issue is after the jury leaves. It looks like we'll have one more thing that they have to bring up, a small issue, small matter before the judge. The state is trying hard to stay in the jury. This jury's good graces. Yes. Heather is ready. He's ready for pie. We're all ready for more pie. Okay. Let's hear what has to happen here as we wrap up here.
Itching to say something, Mr.
Not really itching that much, but just so you know, there's 2 writs that were filed today for 2 witnesses for Thursday.
Yeah.
We're recalling Marquand Washington, who was a state's witness, and then we're calling another inmate from KCDC by the name of Nicholas McAtee. So we prepared writs for you. Just wanted you to know so you could sign them and have them.
Are they on my
They were pulled through.
So Washington was the jail inmate, the bunkmate.
Writ of habeas corpus ad prosequendum.
That's it.
I know.
Well, it's supposed to be ad testificandum.
What? We always use ad prosecundum.
Dati mihi Anglicam prois verbis Latinus.
Are you speaking Latin?
He's speaking Latin.
I was just like, I think I'm going insane.
He's speaking Latin. This is crazy.
So I just wanted to let you know that. But that's all.
He says for prosecution, it should have been for testimony, I think was the translation.
I'm going to go...
So they've got writs were filed. That just means basically that we've asked the judge to approve that we've got 2 more witnesses we want to bring in. The first one is going to be the Mr. Washington, who we saw in Orange as he testified about all the crazy things in jail. The snitch about the nightmare where he's saying, why don't you just die, and things like that. Crazy. That Wisconsin v. Brooks, somebody needs to update their placard. That's not the case. Anyway, that's so they've got that plus another inmate from jail. So we have those 2 more that we definitely can see from the defense side. Let's see. My dad would be impressed. He speaks some Latin, says Samantha Terry. 4 years of Latin here, Carol. Did I translate it correctly? 2 more inmates are coming. Yeah, the one inmate's going to be coming back.
So remember, all it takes is 1 juror to be.
Yep, all it takes is 1 juror. Mr. Marquand Washington was the first one. Inmates love the road trip. They love coming out day out of jail. It's interesting. The second one I don't think has some sort of plea deal or arrangement. So we'll see what they testify to. I think we're good there. All right, it has been an amazing day today. For those that are new here, welcome. This is what we do every day. If you like what you see here, if you like the community you've found in watching trial, please hit the subscribe button, and we'd love to have you back and enjoy more court days like this in the future. Tomorrow's going to be exciting. We never know what's going to come in this case. It's a great one that way. I want to give a huge shout out to Brandi Churchwell for coming on the show, not just once but twice today. And congratulations, Brandi, reaching that 1,000 subscriber mark on YouTube. We're so glad that we could be part of that for you. We look forward to some great videos on your channel as you do some amazing work. I think you're up to 1,040 something subscribers now, which is just great. Subscribed and likeified, says 6-Volt Bus. The second inmate is Alec. We're going to bring up Alex from South Carolina. What was that? Was that a sound effect? I'll turn it back up. Sorry about that. Anyway, we've Richard says, nice setup and good content. You've got a new sub for me. Thanks for the coverage. Thank you, Richard, for being here. Appreciate it. It would not be the same without you. You are a crucial part.
As well.
You are a crucial part of this whole thing. Clip that Latin babbling by the judge. It was hilarious, says Red Pen. I'll try to do that. Since we're at the end of the day, I should be able to go back and find that. I'll have to get the copy where I wasn't talking over it, but I can do that. Let's see. It's a fabulous day.
Let no dead horse go unbeaten.
Thank you, Mr. Harpootlian. Papa John's Papa Rewards members can get a second large one-topping pizza for $3.14 after buying one at the regular menu price for Pi Day only. If you have a Papa John's and like the Papa John's pizza, Pi Day, $3.14 for a second pizza. That's tempting. I have, as you know, I have 6 kids, and usually one pizza is not enough. You do the math there, you can see why. The bunkmate's going to reveal that Zia had a nightmare about being attacked by sardines. Oh, good times, good times. This has been fun today, guys. I appreciate all of you. This is exciting. We may have more. We're ending a little bit earlier than normal, so just realize tonight we may, if there's a police chase, if there's a live police chase, I do cover those as well. So if something pops up, just pop in for a burner appreciation text, says Ivan. Okay. If something does pop up on as far as the, thank you very much, Ivan. Just got your text. Appreciate that. If something does pop up on the police chase side, we'll probably follow it. And so if you like that sort of thing, that's a much more lighthearted. I realize we do a lighthearted approach to everything, even though we have some heavy moments like we did today. We do try to take a lighthearted approach to all that, and good-natured as well. More so when there's a police chase. So join us for that. We had the one just a couple days ago last week where we had that gentleman who had a huge bottle of nitrous oxide that he was breathing out of, and that huge standoff took forever. I was supposed to that ended up being an 11.5-hour live stream because of that chase right at the end. We decided to follow it, thinking it would end soon, thinking it would be over in just a moment, and it wasn't. But police chases happen here too. There was a good helicopter chase in LA yesterday morning. I'll have to look at that one, Red Pen. I'll have to look back to that. We never got our Tinsley soundbite. I have not found a good copy of it. And I forgot. I'm sorry. That was my fault. Okay, I think we're good. Anyway, thank you all for being here. If you like this, please bring a friend next time you come. It's a lot of fun with friends, although we're all friends already. We've got room for more. The front row for all those amazing members who have supported this channel or were gifted a membership is available. We have room for everybody, so please feel free to show up and bring a friend. It's awesome here. Crappy Pappy has admitted to being an addict. Thank you, Crappy Pappy. Love the name. As well as Judy at Love My Dandelion has admitted to being an addict. You guys are amazing. Thanks for liking and subscribing to the channel. Thank you all. Let's see. Wow. Breaking news out of Columbus, Ohio. Crazy, crazy stuff going on. Ohio's been in the news more than their fair share. They need a break at some point. They need a break from something. All right. Check out Discord. Yes. If you want to be part of the next Matthew Harris Law PLLC free cozy giveaway, check out Discord. You can check out Discord by typing !Discord in the chat. Also, I would suggest checking out Matthew Harris Law's YouTube channel. And you can do that by typing !Matthew in the chat. Discord was right here. That's the link. You can go there. If you want to go to Matthew's channel, you can type Matthew in the chat, and it will have a link for that as well. Fantastic content, Matthew. Thank you as always. Nicole as well. We've got several people who have provided great analysis and insight today. There's Matthew's link right there if you need more information on his channel. I think that covers it for today. We do this every day, so get some rest, get ready. We're coming back in the morning. It's gonna be Hump Day tomorrow. Hump Day! We are so close. I need to. Where's the? I'll pre-play the sound effects.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Yeah, we're gonna hear that tomorrow for sure. I'm gonna see if I can round up some pie somewhere because I need some more pie. We want all kinds of pie. Snow in Boston. You can keep it, Carol. It's warming up a little bit here. It's 50 degrees. I'll take it. Would you like to revisit evidence from today? Not right now. Not right now. I've got to focus on some other stuff. For those of you that are new here, welcome. For those that have been friends for a long time, thank you so much for coming back. You guys are amazing. I appreciate your support. We have incredible mods here. Thank you for all you do. Please, tonight when you go home, hug the people you love, smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better. Please stay safe till we go live again, which will be tomorrow at 9. I thought I was going to be ready. I missed the soundbite, and I have the wrong picture pulled up. Tomorrow, it's going to be tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern time. And now I ran out of music. I thought it would be perfect. I thought today I'm going to nail it. I was going to nail it with the exit, but I didn't. So tomorrow, please, I'd love to see you back. We'll be back at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Thank you to all of you. You guys are amazing. Have a good night. We'll see you. James, you thought I was gone, but you just slid a super sticker.
James Peacock just sent a super sticker with 1.99.
Thank you, James. Appreciate it. I'm still here. I was just about to hit the button, so appreciate that. You guys have a great night. We'll see you in the morning.